Chapter 28. Sir, I can't. This mission is too dangerous. Lieutenant Colonel Shang was so worried that he was sweating. Gu Lingqing packed his things and was very determined. This is my family's private matter. Who else do you think is more suitable besides me? I can't. I believe that the other Special Forces soldiers will definitely complete this mission with honor. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, run 20 laps with a weight of 10 kilograms. You talk too much nonsense, he said coldly. He packed his things and set off for the crime scene. On the beach, a group of armed special forces lined up neatly with rifles in their hands. Xing Bachuan sat in a car with black windows. Next to him sat a man who was wearing the same clothes as him and looked very similar. Gu Lingqing was carried into the car by the police. Xing Bachuan hung up the phone with the kidnappers and said to Gu Lingqing, "They promised that 2 people will accompany me to the island. You must ensure the safety of my daughter." Gu Lingqing glanced at Xing Bachuan's face indifferently. He had even found a substitute. He was really afraid of death. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. He took Xing Bachuan's phone and carried the fake governor onto the yacht. "Sir, I'll go with you." Lieutenant Colonel Shang rushed over. If something happened to the chief, he wouldn't be able to live long. It was better to come and protect the chief. "Stay here and wait for orders," Gu Lingqing ordered. He set sail for the deserted island. After getting on the island, he called Saudi Arabia and found that the phone was turned off. He shuttled through the forest suspiciously. The more he walked, the more surprised he became. The surroundings were too quiet, so quiet that it was peaceful. Finally, he saw a wooden house in front of him with a bit of starlight. He looked around cautiously and quickly leaned against the side of the wooden house. He opened a gap in the window and looked inside. Baiya was left in the middle of the house, hanging by a rope. Her mouth was stuffed with a piece of cloth. Her hands were already bruised. Her expression was cold. She looked at the air blankly. He didn't know if she was strong or scared silly. She was too calm. Gu Lingqing's heart tightened. He scanned the room and found that there was no one else inside. He quickly pushed the door and went in. Baiya looked at him. Her big eyes were locked on his resolute face, and she was a little absent-minded. She kept looking and looking until her eyes turned red and the corners of her mouth curled into a smile. Some people say that when God closes your window, he must open another. Gu Lingqing quickly ran over, untied the rope on her hand, and saved her. "Pull the cloth from her mouth." When he saw the red bruises on her face, he frowned and asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Baiya shook his head. He pitifully blew on her red and swollen hand and softly said, "It must be very painful, right?" Baiya stared at him. She didn't cry when the mistress came looking for her. She didn't cry when Su Jiran pushed her to the gates of hell. Being cared for by him made her feel a very sour feeling in her heart. He had been hurt too much and was already numb to it. But sunlight was scarce, and she was even more precious. Tears flowed out. Sniffing her nose, she smiled again. "I'm fine." Yes, without Su Jiran in her heart, she would be fine. She saw her bag, walked over, and picked it up. Gu Lingqing held her hand and promised, "Follow me closely, I will definitely ensure your safety." Baiya glanced at his hand. His palms were warm. Because of long-term training, it was a little rough, but it was a strong feeling, which made her feel very at ease. She didn't refuse his touch again. Or maybe it was because she was too tired. Her heart was too bitter. She needed this firm warmth to drive away the coldness in her body. Xing Bachuan's face darkened when he saw Baiya come ashore. He frowned, and his voice became sharp. "How could it be you? Did you tell the gangster that she was my daughter?" Baiya looked at Xing Bachuan indifferently. She didn't say that she was his daughter. Even if she really died, she wouldn't say it. Ridiculous. What a waste of my time. Xing Bachuan got into the car angrily, slammed the door, and left. leaving behind a group of confused people. Only Baiya knew the reason. She stood quietly, looking at the back view of Xing Bachuan's car. He thought that the person who was kidnapped was Xing Jinyan, so he came. In his heart, Xing Jinyan was his daughter, but she wasn't. There was a slight pain in her heart that was being pulled. "I'll send you back." Gu Lingqing sensed that something was wrong with her. She turned her head and smiled at Gu Lingqing, hiding the gloominess in her eyes. "Okay." She got into his car, leaned against the window, and closed her eyes. She was very tired. She hadn't rested since morning. Her body was tired, and her heart was tired. She fell asleep after a while. Her phone rang. Gu Lingqing was worried that it would wake her up, so he answered the phone. "Where is she?" "Come to my villa in an hour," Su Jiran ordered. Gu Lingqing hated his tone. His black eyes became deeper, and he said in a low voice, "She's asleep." "Who are you?" "Gu Lingqing." "Where are you?" There was an inexplicable panic in Su Jiran's heart. "If there's anything, we'll talk tomorrow morning." "I'm hanging up." He hung up and turned off Baiya's phone. He looked at Baiya. Baiya's neck was tilted, and her head was drooping. It was still 40 minutes away from the city center. She would definitely have a stiff neck if she slept like this. Gu Lingqing saw a hotel not far away. He drove the car close to the hotel's parking lot. The rules of the hotel were very strict. No one was allowed to check in without an ID card. He used his military ID card to get a room. Baiya was still asleep. He carried her and walked to the elevator. Her body was soft, and her little face was as red as an apple. He put her gently on the bed. Her hair brushed past his arm, tickling him. His eyes narrowed and were mesmerized by the colors. Something hot surged in his abdomen. After all, he was a hot-blooded man. The taste of her had been deeply imprinted in his mind 3 years ago. He sighed, covered her with the quilt, and went into the bathroom. The cold water rushed down. It chilled his skin, but it couldn't cool the passion in his heart and the restlessness hidden in his body. This was the best time to test his will. Early morning. Baiya was woken up by the sound of water in the bathroom. She sat up and brushed her hair. Her head was still dizzy, and she saw Gu Lingqing's clothes on the sofa. Her lips curled up. Staying in the same room with him was just to make her feel at ease. She stepped out of the bed. Gu Lingqing walked out of the bathroom. His hair was wet, and his face was tense. The strong lines on his face made his face more three-dimensional, as if he was suppressing something. His strong and muscular lines extended all the way down to his abdomen. A white bath towel was wrapped around his belly button, and it was very sexy. Baiya blushed a little, and tried to look at his face. She said softly, "Morning." Gu Lingqing ignored her, walked to the sofa, and picked up his clothes. She felt that he was not happy. "Well, thank you. I slept too much last night, and I don't remember checking into the hotel," Baiya thanked him. Chapter 29. Baiya felt that he was a little weird. But she didn't know why. Was he angry early in the morning, or was he angry? "It's not the first time we've been in the same room." "I trust you," Baiya said in a distant and polite manner. He frowned slightly, and the anger in his eyes deepened. "Trust me for what?" He was overbearing, and that inexplicable pressure made it hard for her to breathe. "Are you sick?" Baiya touched his forehead. He grasped her wrist even faster. His palm was very hot, like the butt of a cigarette. He also felt that he was sick. In the same room, he could still be a saint. In the whole world, only he, Gu Lingqing, could do that. Suddenly, the air pressure rose and collapsed his reason. He pressed the back of her head and kissed her. His lips were very hot. A fresh toothpaste smell rushed into her nose, lips, and mouth, all the way to her heart and lungs. Baiya was so shocked that her mind went blank. He stuck his tongue in. He swallowed her natural sweet taste. His lips and teeth melted with hers. Ferocious like a flood that had opened the floodgates. Baya only felt that her breath was being eroded by him bit by bit. His breath was also getting heavier. Baya's eyes were red with fear. She almost forgot that Gu Lingqing's feelings for her were not pure. She must be crazy to sleep in the same room with him. She pushes at his chest. He held her hand and didn't move. Instead, the temperature of his body was getting higher and higher. Even cold water couldn't cool down the heat. Her hand was trembling. She protested with a frown, her watery eyes locked onto him. The charming mist in his eyes became more and more blurred. The more she resisted, the more he wanted her. His big palm slid through her clothes and across her waist. Wherever the big palm passed, it made her tremble. She had never been touched like this before. She immediately felt humiliated. Her head was dizzy and her legs were weak. He held her waist, and there was no distance between them. His fingers undid the buckle on her back and followed the strap to the front. The hot temperature of his palm touched her skin, as if it was going to set her on fire. A series of unfamiliar electric currents swept through her delicate body. The unfamiliar numbness brought with it a different feeling. No. Baya resisted, his voice trembling. Her resistance was completely useless now. He kissed her neck and straightened her dress to her waist. His hot lips landed on her shoulder. Hot air fell on her body. Gu Lingqing, don't. She trembled in fear. She wanted to say something but stopped. Her eyes were misty and moist. What is it? He asked, looking at her with a burning gaze. She found it hard to speak. She blushed. It's not right for us to do this. I'm married. His eyes narrowed in an instant and he frowned. There was no joking expression on his resolute face. As long as it's a woman I like, I don't care who she is, whether she's married or not, and whether she has children or not. I want you. Her heart was beating so fast that she couldn't breathe, and her brain couldn't think. Is he confessing? In a daze, Gu Lingqing carried her to the bed. She felt a chill on her back and regained her senses. She pressed her hand against Gu Lingqing's burning chest. His deep gaze was like a whirlpool, causing her to be unable to extricate herself and fall into it. If she lost her senses now, what about tomorrow, the day after, or in the future? The passion between a man and a woman was temporary. It couldn't solve anything, and it couldn't bring about anything. Gu Lingqing, don't, Baya begged. I'll be responsible for you, he said hoarsely. He held her hand and moved it down his abs. She shivered. She was so scared that she wanted to retract her hand. He pressed her hand down and didn't let her leave. She shouted anxiously, "We're not close." His body froze and his deep eyes were covered with a layer of indistinct color. His anger was replaced by a blurry look. You're saying that we're not close? Vaguely, she felt a little heartache. She lowered her eyes and tears flowed from her eyes. He understood that she didn't want to be like this. The warmth in his eyes turned cold. He let go of her and stood up. I'm sorry, I was rude. We're really not close. If you don't want to see me in the future, I'll disappear from your life completely, Gu Lingqing said coldly, very dispirited. He turned around and walked into the bathroom again. Baya didn't feel very comfortable as she watched his cold and arrogant back view disappear. She curled up and hugged her calves, covering her face with her knees. Actually, she didn't hate him. It was just that she was still a married woman. She didn't want to become someone like Su Jiran. Gu Lingqing came out of the bathroom and returned to his usual coldness. He walked straight to the sofa and tidied up his clothes indifferently. He didn't look at her again. Gu Lingqing, Baya shouted. He packed up his things coldly, even colder than before. She didn't know what to say and could only look at him. He tidied up his things and looked at her affectionately. I'll wait for you downstairs. With that said, he turned around and left her room. Baya got out of bed, washed up, and went to the hall on the first floor. Gu Lingqing had already stopped a taxi for her. "Get in the car," he said coldly and opened the back door. Baya walked past him and got into the car. "Gu Lingqing," Baya shouted and looked at him with slightly red eyes. "I don't want to be a stranger to you." Gu Lingqing was slightly stunned. He pulled Baya down and walked quickly to the parking lot. He threw her in front of his car door and put his hand on the side of her head. He looked at her with burning eyes, sharp, serious, and serious. "Tell me clearly, do you want to have an affair with me?" "No," she answered without even thinking. "Do you want me to like you?" Gu Lingqing asked, not giving her any time to respond. If he liked her and she didn't like him, he would be very tired. She had enough of the feeling of falling in love with someone who didn't love her. If she didn't love him, she didn't want him to like her. She shook her head. In her current situation, she didn't have the ability to love anyone. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed. "Since we're nothing, it's better not to see each other in the future." He let go of her hand, opened the car door, and got into the driver's seat. "Can't we be friends?" Baya asked. Chapter 30. Baya smiled bitterly. "I'm married. I have a husband. How can I be your woman?" Gu Lingqing could tell that she was rejecting him, so he didn't want to force her. "Let it be. We don't belong to the same world. There's no need to be friends. Get in the car, I'll send you back," Gu Lingqing said calmly. Baya lowered her eyes. Her long eyelashes formed a silhouette under her eyes, covering the dark emotions that flowed through her eyes. She and Gu Lingqing did not belong to the same world. Since they couldn't be friends, there was no need to force it. She had always been alone, and she had lived until now. There's no need. I can take a taxi back. Thank you for saving me. I wish you happiness. Baya nodded, turned around and walked towards the entrance of the hotel. Gu Lingqing gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with irritation. His nails that were holding the steering wheel turned white. He steeled his heart and drove away. Baya took a taxi back to her apartment. When she opened the door, Su Jiaran was in her apartment, sitting on the sofa. The cigarette in his hand flickered, and the smoke blurred his face. The ashtray was full of cigarette ashes. The room was filled with smoke. Baya looked straight at him. "You just came back." Su Jiaran's lips curled up. He was as devilish as usual, but there was no warmth in his eyes. She saw how cruel he was. His kindness was only shown to other women, but she couldn't feel it. "Let's go. The Civil Affairs Bureau should be open now. Let's get the divorce certificate done." "I still have to go to the hospital," Baya said calmly. He chuckled and stood up. "Who said that I wanted to divorce you?" Baya stared at him. Her gaze became colder and colder, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. "Su Jiaran, do you think we can still go on after what happened yesterday? Don't deceive yourself. I'm not a child. You know very well why you married me. Now that she's back, I'll give you my blessings that you'll be united forever, fall sick together, and die together." Su Jiaran furrowed his brows, his eyes filled with irritation. "Have you had enough? The criminals caught you, but I've already dealt with them. What else do you want me to do? Saving the damsel in distress is indeed your style, but it doesn't mean that I want to continue playing with you. Xing Jinyan is already back, and he's the apple of Xing Ba Chuan's eye. You provoked me back then because you knew I was Xing Ba Chuan's daughter. I'll marry you. Don't worry. Even if she comes back, it won't affect your status as Mrs. Su," Su Jiaran said with certainty. Baya didn't want to talk to him anymore. There was no point in talking more. She walked past him towards the room. Seeing her disdain, Su Jiaran's eyes narrowed and he grabbed her wrist. "What's your attitude now? Don't you have eyes to see? can't you see what attitude I have? Baya wanted to shake his hand off. His grip was too tight, and she couldn't shake it off at all. His gaze became more and more sinister, and there was a hint of jealousy in his eyes. Why? Are you in love with Gu Lingqing? Baya sneered. It doesn't seem to have much to do with you. He tightened his grip. Say that again. No matter how many times I say it, it's the same. I've never cared about your matters, and my matters have nothing to do with you, Baya said coldly. She wasn't afraid of his anger that was about to explode. To her, he was already nothing from the moment he treated her like a chess piece yesterday. He pushed her shoulders hard and moved forward quickly and comfortably. Baya was pushed against the wall by him. The pain in her back tugged at her bones. Her body was in pain, but her heart was calmer. She had to get a divorce, and she was determined to get it. Su Jiran scrutinized Baya. His eyes were bloodshot as he questioned. Did he really F***CKU? Baya, compared to the women outside, I thought you were at least clean. I didn't expect you to be as dirty as them. Dirty. Baya raised the corner of her mouth sarcastically and looked straight into his beautiful and unfathomable eyes. His heart actually didn't hurt anymore. Yeah, I'm very dirty. Wipe your hands. Looking at her cold and distant face, he felt a stab of pain in his heart. He pinched her chin. Baya, what are you thinking? Divorce. Please, disappear from my life completely. Baya said resolutely. The veins on his forehead popped. He lowered his head and kissed her fiercely. Baya gritted her teeth hard. She didn't like the charming taste of tobacco in his mouth. It was too turbid. It made her want to go to Gu Lingqing. It was pure, sunny, and warm. Su Jiran was furious. He pinched her little face hard and forced her to open her mouth. He kissed her fiercely until he reached her mouth. The light and elegant fragrance of her body made him almost fascinated. He was crazy for her. His reason disappeared. There was only one organ in his body that was clamoring for her. Baya frowned. She couldn't struggle. Her physical strength couldn't compete with this man. She made up her mind, clenched her fists, endured the nausea in her stomach, and kissed him back. Su Jiran felt that her kiss back was not smooth. Compared to so many skillful women, she was simply clumsy. However, he felt very comfortable. It was as if a drop of hot water was dripping on his cold and indestructible heart. It was warm. This kind of awareness surprised him. He let go of her, looked at her red lips suspiciously, and asked, "Is this your trick? You deliberately made me angry." Yes. Baya raised the corner of her mouth coldly. In order to protect herself, why not lie? It worked, didn't it? Baya asked. The fog spread to her eyes and covered the window of her heart. Su Jiran smiled wickedly. It did work. You didn't use it on him, right? Of course not. Baya didn't dare to anger Su Jiran. He was too dangerous now. Su Jiran grinned, and even the depths of his eyes were smiling. Baya, you're getting more and more scheming. Did I capture your heart? Baya asked arrogantly. Don't play these tricks on me in the future. I don't like it. He smiled wickedly, and his tone was still as doting as before. But she knew that he used this kind of tone to flirt with every woman he met. No, I'm going to work, Baya said coldly. You go to work. He yawned. I didn't sleep last night. I'll sleep here for a while. Do as you please. Baya almost escaped from the room. She looked back at the door, and fear flowed in her eyes. She couldn't come to this place again. Su Jiran was too scary. He refused to divorce, so she could only use legal means. Su Jiran walked into Baya's room, lay on her bed, and covered her with the quilt. There was no perfume or makeup on her quilt, but it had a very fresh and elegant fragrance. It smelled very good. Chapter 31. Baiya went back to her office. Lu Shuang passed by and saw Baiya in the office. She came back and asked with concern, "Xiao Bai, how's the aftermath of yesterday?" "I'm preparing for a divorce," Baiya said calmly. "Really? You did the right thing. I support you to get a divorce." She smiled mischievously. "Is it because of the handsome guy you saw yesterday afternoon?" "No." Baiya shook her head. She felt a little lonely. "I'll never see him again." "Why?" "He doesn't like you because you're a married woman." "You're going to get a divorce soon," Lu Shuang said, puzzled. "I'm too far away from him. I'm going to rent a house again. Then, I'll go to the lawyer's office today. If I want a divorce, I need to show you the evidence of Su Jiran's extramarital affair," Baiya said thoughtfully. "Evidence of Su Jiran's extramarital affair? That's easy. Give it to me, and I'll handle it for you," Lu Shuang said confidently. "Thank you," Baiya thanked him sincerely. The marriage that lasted for 3 years was finally coming to an end. She could finally get out of that hell. She only knew how beautiful it was when she let it go. There was a knock on the door. Baiya looked at the door. The head of the gynecology department looked terrible. She looked at Baiya and said, "The director asked you to go over. It's not a good thing. Be prepared. Is Su Jiran that B***starred really going to kill you?" Lu Shuang said. Baiya's heart skipped a beat. She had a bad feeling. "I'll go first." Lu Shuang saw Baiya go out and immediately called the director. "Dad, what's going on? Are the higher-ups still targeting Baiya?" "The leader of the health bureau suppressed this matter and asked us to deal with it. It should have been dealt with yesterday, but I delayed it for a day and asked her to think of a solution. She still hasn't thought of anything. I have to report this to the higher-ups," the dean said helplessly. "Wait a moment. I have an idea." "Dad, don't deal with it first. Stall for time," Lu Shuang said with a sudden inspiration. "My dear daughter, what do you want now? Dad has already helped you clean up a lot of messes. Please spare my old life," the headmaster said anxiously. "I know. Just wait for half an hour." Lu Shuang hung up the phone. She took out her phone from Baiya's bag and found a call from the bureau chief. She took Baiya's phone and called him. The phone rang twice before it was hung up. Since it was an emergency, Lu Shuang couldn't care less about whether the others were busy or not. He made another call. Gu Lingqing was still dead. She quickly typed a message, "I'm waiting for you to save me. Hurry up and pick up the phone." After sending the text message, Lu Shuang called again. "What's the matter?" Gu Lingqing picked up the call. "Just pick up the call, Mr. Bureau Chief. Baiya is in trouble. She's waiting for you to save her," Lu Shuang said. Gu Lingqing heard that it was another woman's voice. She paused for a moment. What happened to her? Xiao Bai went out on a mission and delivered a pregnant woman. The ultrasound showed that the umbilical cord was around her neck. She was about to give birth. Xiao Bai could only make a small incision on her lower body. She didn't expect that the woman was Xiao Bai's husband's lover. Xiao Bai wanted to divorce her husband. Her husband instigated the woman to sue Xiao Bai, causing Xiao Bai to lose her job, Lu Shuang said simply. "I know about this. I'll deal with it," Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Lu Shuang heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. He smiled. "You're indeed a great boyfriend. No wonder Xiao Bai likes you." "Baiya likes me?" Gu Lingqing frowned. He didn't believe it at all. "Yes, she told me personally that she likes you. It's just that she's a married woman now, so it's not convenient for her. But don't worry, Baiya is trying her best to get a divorce," Lu Shuang said deliberately. She felt that Baiya was a good match for the military officer. Gu Lingqing was silent for a moment. He hung up the phone. His eyes were gentler than before. He called the director of the first hospital. Hello, I'm Gu Lingqing, the supreme leader of the special forces. Dr. Baiya is following my instructions during the mission. If anyone is looking for trouble, please ask her to look for me. It has nothing to do with Baiya, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. The director was stunned. The person who called him was the general of the special forces, Gu Lingqing. His daughter's ability was too great. Okay, I got it. I'll deal with it, the director said in a trembling voice. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone. The director said to Baiya, "You're fine now. General Gu from the special forces just called and said that you were following his instructions. It has nothing to do with you. Go back to work." Baiya lowered her eyes. She didn't expect that Gu Lingqing was still willing to help her. Her heart was touched again and again. She went back to the office. The office was covered with roses, and there were 2 paper bags next to the chair. Su Jiaran sat in front of her desk lazily and asked in a devilish tone, "Do you like it?" She didn't like it. There was a hint of indifference in Baiya's eyes. "I haven't gotten off work yet. Your presence here will affect my work. I've asked. You don't have an operation scheduled in the afternoon. It won't affect me here." He stood up and brushed the hair hanging down from her face. Baiya stepped back subconsciously. Su Jiaran didn't like her repulsion. A sharp glint flashed across his eyes. "What do you want now? You're the one who asked the director to fire me, aren't you?" Baiya asked directly. Su Jiaran paused. "I almost forgot about this. Wait a minute." He made a call in front of Baiya and ordered, "Withdraw the charges against Baiya." After that, he hung up the phone and smirked. He looked at Baiya. "Baby, it's settled. You just have to listen to me. I won't let you suffer." The way he called her baby gave her goosebumps. "I'm going to work," Baiya said indifferently and sat in front of her desk. Su Jiaran placed the gift bag on Baiya's desk. "These are clothes and shoes. My friend is treating me to dinner today. You should go too." Baiya's face turned pale when she recalled the incident with his wife. "I'm not going. I don't want to know your friend. I was confused last time. I won't do it this time. I'll pick you up tonight," Su Jiaran said domineeringly with a smile. He turned around and left from Baiya's room. Lu Shuang saw Su Jiaran walking out of Baiya's room. He ran over and asked worriedly, "Is that bastard pestering you again?" "Very soon. Purgatory will end soon," Baiya said with certainty. "Hurry up and end it. There's something better waiting for you." Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. Gu Lingqing's face flashed across Baiya's mind. Chapter 32. I want a divorce. His family won't agree, Baiya said with self-awareness. Lu Shuang poked Baiya's head. "Why are you so inflexible? You and Su Jiaran don't have a child. What era are we living in now? Divorced people are more popular than unmarried ones. Let's not talk about this. I need to finish my work," Baiya said. Lu Shuang saw the gift bag on Baiya's desk. She took it out. There was a pink gauze dress inside. It was made by Chanel. It was obviously expensive. "Su Jiaran gave it to you?" Lu Shuang asked with disdain. "Yeah." Baiya didn't even look at the dress. Su Jiaran is very generous to women. But he is not generous to one woman. "You won't be soft-hearted, will you?" Lu Shuang asked worriedly. Baiya looked up. Her eyes were as calm as water. "I have given up on him. It doesn't matter if he is hard or soft." Lu Shuang gave Baiya a thumbs up and agreed. "That's right. I will keep an eye on him these days. It will be easy to get the evidence of his affair. I will give it to you." "Thank you. I don't have anything to do this afternoon." I will go to the lawyer's office to ask about the situation. Hurry up. Baya asked the lawyer for details. The lawyer said that if there was evidence of the man's affair, they would force a divorce. It was not difficult to get the evidence of Su Jiran's affair. She came out of the lawyer's office. Her phone rang. Where are you? Did you ask for leave in the afternoon? Su Jiran asked suspiciously. She didn't want to tell Su Jiran that she was preparing for the divorce. She didn't want him to be on guard. She said perfunctorily, yeah, I went out to relax. I am going back to the hospital now. See you at the entrance of the hospital in half an hour. Su Jiran said unhappily and hung up the phone. Baya took a deep breath. She had to endure it. She had endured it for so many years. A few more days was not a big deal. She returned to her office and changed into the clothes that Su Jiran had given her. His phone rang again. It was still from Su Jiran. Baya, there's a limit to being arrogant. I've been waiting for you for 10 minutes. Su Jiran said angrily. Baya sneered. She had waited for him for 3 years. 10 minutes was nothing. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Baya ignored his anger and hung up the phone. Su Jiran got out of the car and looked at the exit with a frown. He had left work early to wait for her. She had gone too far. Baya walked out of the exit. Su Jiran's eyes flashed with a hint of amazement, reflecting the beauty of his facial features. Baya usually dressed very maturely. In fact, she was only 24 years old. The pink silk dress suited her very well, and the elegant material outlined her perfect figure. In particular, the three-dimensional cut up to the knee, set off her straight and slender calves. She looked very good after dressing herself up. Beautiful things were pleasing to the eye. Su Jiran calmed down and opened the car door. Baya got in the car and put on her seatbelt. She asked calmly, "Where are you taking me?" "The Peony Hall." Su Jiran said with a smile. The Peony Hall of the new century was the most luxurious private room in City A. This private room was not something an ordinary person could reserve. Baya followed Su Jiran into the private room. Xing Jinyan held Su Jiran's arm naturally and introduced him to Xing Bachuan with a smile. "Dad, he saved me yesterday." Xing Bachuan smiled with satisfaction and reached out his hand. "Minister Su is a young talent from the Health Bureau. We've met before. Nice to meet you. Thank you for saving my daughter." Baya stood at the door and watched them being intimate. Her lips curled up slightly. She seemed to have been the extra one all along. After shaking hands with Xing Bachuan, Su Jiran glanced at Baya. "Come in." Xing Bachuan's face paled when he saw Baya, and his smile froze. "Who is she, Jiran?" Xing Jinyan asked defensively. "I told you before." "She's my wife, Baya," Su Jiran said with a smile. He took in their ugly expressions. Xing Bachuan glanced at Xing Jinyan in displeasure. He thought that Xing Jinyan had hooked up with a young talent from the Health Bureau as soon as he came back. He had a wife, and his wife was actually his daughter from his previous life. He felt uncomfortable all over. But he didn't lose his temper for the sake of Su Jiran. He said solemnly, "Please take a seat, everyone. I have 2 more friends coming." Su Jiran sat down with Baya. The atmosphere was strangely depressing. "Bachuan, I'm sorry I'm late," Gu Tianhang walked in and said apologetically. Xing Bachuan saw Gu Tianhang and immediately stood up to welcome him. He shook his hand tightly, and his cold face warmed up again. "You're already giving me face by coming." Xing Bachuan looked behind Gu Tianhang and couldn't even keep his smile. Like father, like son. I've finally witnessed General Gu's bravery. "Please take a seat," Xing Bachuan said hypocritically. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing in surprise. She didn't expect to meet Gu Lingqing here. His expression was tense and cold. There wasn't a hint of a smile on his face. He glanced at her indifferently and looked away as if they didn't know each other. General Gu, it's been a while. Su Jiran smiled and put his arm around Bai Ye's shoulder, pulling her into his arms. I don't seem to be familiar with you. Gu Lingqing sat down in front of Bai Ye arrogantly. His distant aura made him look arrogant and unruly. Not familiar. These two words made Bai Ye's heart tremble. She seemed to have said these two words to Gu Lingqing. However, he still helped her solve the dispute in the hospital. Bai Ye lowered her eyes. Xing Bachuan looked at Gu Lingqing and then at Xing Jinyan. His eyes were sharp. General Gu is young and promising. Do you have a girlfriend? I have a fiancé. He looked up at Xing Bachuan coldly. He glanced at Bai Ye. Her face was calm, as if she had nothing to do with him having a fiancé. Was she really not familiar with him? His face became even colder. He poured himself a glass of red wine and drank it in one gulp. Ah! Xing Bachuan was disappointed. When did this happen, old Gu? Why haven't I heard you mention it? It's about the child. It's been on and off, and it's been noisy. I can't really tell. However, I want to announce this at the banquet tomorrow night, Gu Tianheng said happily. So you have a fiancé. Su Jiran picked up his glass and gestured to Gu Lingqing. He said meaningfully, I'm sure General Gu and your fiancé must have a good relationship. I'm impressed that you're able to keep your composure. Here's to you. Gu Lingqing didn't raise his glass. Su Jiran felt a little bored. Oh right, thank you for saving my wife last night. She hid in my arms and cried her eyes out as if she had been wronged. I'm sure she's still traumatized by what happened last night. Chapter 33. What happened this morning? Su Jiran looked at Bai Ye with a dangerous glint in his eyes. She didn't like his fake intimacy and nonsense. When did she hide in his arms and cry? Bai Ye curled her lips and said sarcastically, I'm crying. Can I not tell you what I'm afraid of? Su Jiran didn't like her answer. He curled his lips, but his eyes became cold. He moved his mouth to her ear and whispered in a low voice that everyone could hear, yes, how can you be afraid of what happened in the morning? You love rolling in the sheets with me. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye with cold eyes. Bai Ye had the urge to slap Su Jiran. What he said made her feel sick. He touched her thigh and pinched it hard as if he was punishing her. Bang! Xing Jinyan knocked over the cup. Bai Ye looked at Xing Jinyan. Xing Jinyan's watery eyes sparkled as she looked at Su Jiran. She felt so wronged that her hands trembled. Bai Ye was very disgusted with Su Jiran's methods. He brought her here on purpose to make Xing Jinyan jealous. Now that his plan had succeeded, it was time for her to retire. Excuse me, I need to go to the washroom. Bai Ye picked up her bag and walked out. Wait. Xing Jinyan stopped in front of Bai Ye and smiled gently. My dress is wet. Can you help me? Bai Ye stared at Xing Jinyan. She wasn't a heartless person. She knew that it was a demonstration, but she still took it. Wasn't that stupid? Miss Xing, you have your own hands, don't you? Sorry, I'm not free. She walked out of the room coldly. Xing Jinyan was embarrassed for a moment. Seeing Bai Ye leave, she immediately chased after her. Su Jiran revealed a meaningful smile. Even the depths of his eyes were smiling. It seemed that the girls were jealous. If you step on the boat too much, your shoes will get wet sooner or later. Gu Lingqing picked up the wine glass and took a sip. It doesn't matter. I can swim. Even if I fall into the river, I don't need to worry. Su Jiran joked. Gu Lingqing looked at him coldly. His cell phone rang. Gu Lingqing glanced at the caller ID and stood up. Excuse me. He took his phone and went out. Chief, the leader of the terrorist organization we're following, Miller, has just arrived in a city. According to our informant, there might be a batch of firearms being sold recently. I guess it might be related to him. Should we arrest him now or later? Lieutenant Colonel Shang reported. Since he still dares to come, he must have a reason to risk his life. Keep a close eye on him and wait for any changes, Gu Lingqing ordered rationally. When he passed by the door of the washroom, he heard Bai Ya's voice coming from inside. He instinctively stopped in his tracks. There's nothing to talk about between me and Miss Xing, right? Bai Ya said coldly. I know that you're my sister. Xing Jinyan curled her lips and said provocatively, Jiaran told me that he only married you because he wanted to see me. 3 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between us and I was forced to leave. Now that I'm back, can you let go of me? She had wanted to let go of him for a long time. What do you want me to do? Bai Ya asked coldly. Divorce and let us be together, Xing Jinyan said straightforwardly. Bai Ya sneered. It seemed that all mistresses had the same request. She was really on the verge of collapsing. It would be better if she didn't do it. As long as he brings it up, I'll divorce him immediately and leave him with nothing. I'll leave the heavy responsibility of getting him to bring it up to you. Bai Ya was telling the truth. Xing Jinyan's expression darkened and she said sarcastically, you know that he's using you to anger me. How can we divorce? Bai Ya, let go. You're not in his heart. You're just a tool for him to take revenge on me. Bai Ya stared at Xing Jinyan. All right. Xing Jinyan couldn't understand what she was saying at all. She shouldn't play the lute to a cow. Is there anything else, Miss Xing? No, I'm leaving, Bai Ya said indifferently. Xing Jinyan looked at her indifferent expression, as though victory was in her grasp. There was a surge of anger in her heart that was rising rapidly. Bai Ya, don't you have any shame? He doesn't love you. Don't you understand? Xing Jinyan tore off her ladylike facade and shouted. Bai Ya looked down. The mistress actually said that she had no shame. What a joke. She couldn't be bothered with her anymore and walked away proudly. Bai Ya, I'll definitely make Jia Ran divorce a disgusting woman like you, Xing Jinyan shouted. Bai Ya walked out of the washroom and paused when she saw Gu Lingqing. He held her hand and walked quickly into the private room and closed the door. Bai Ya was a little afraid of him now. Her eyes flickered. He didn't let her dodge. He placed his hand on the side of her head and locked his gaze on her. Are you stupid or a fool? Do you think that you can make Su Jiran change his mind by obeying him? He's just enjoying the feeling of having women on his left and right. She knew it. Su Jiran had brought her here on purpose to make Xing Jinyan jealous. But she had no choice. I know what I'm doing. Bai Ya said. She just had to endure for a few days and find the evidence. Then she could get a divorce and get rid of this hellish marriage. What are you doing? Compromising and loving. Men won't like you just because you're wagging your tail and begging. Gu Lingqing's chest was heaving up and down. She was very angry. I'm not wagging my tail and begging. I'm not begging for love. Then what are you doing now? Did you sleep with him in the morning? Gu Lingqing's tone became sharp. Right now, he was not calm at all. His blood was surging and boiling. I didn't sleep with him. I never slept with him. He was the one who spouted nonsense, Bai Ya blurted out. She was annoyed after saying that. She was so eager to explain to him, as if she was hinting at something. I'm leaving. Bai Ya walked away sullenly. The haze in Gu Lingqing's eyes gradually dissipated. So, they didn't have sex in the morning. So, they never had sex in the morning. The other meaning of this sentence was that the only man she had was him. Gu Lingqing opened the door and walked out. He watched as Bai Ya walked into the elevator. He chased after her. Xing Jinyan looked at them maliciously. A light flashed in his eyes. She made a call. Brother Sun, it's Jinyan. Are you near the peony hall? Xing Jinyan asked sweetly. Yes. What's wrong? Do you miss me? Brother Sun said pervertedly. Help me do something. After it's done, I'll ask my father to approve the project you applied for. What is it? A man and a woman left the peony hall. I'll send you their photos. Lock them in the same room and give them some medicine. You know what I mean. Xing Jinyan's eyes flashed with a dark light. Chapter 34. Baya walked out of the restaurant. She felt depressed. Her mind was in a mess. It was because of Gu Lingqing. She knew it. She seemed to be, a little, attracted to him. There was a flurry of footsteps behind her. Baya turned around instinctively. A man wearing a mask came over with a spray. He pointed it at her 5 times. Pie, 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 pie. She smelled a strong ether smell. Her vision darkened and she fainted. The man carried her and put her in the car. What are you doing? Gu Lingqing chased after them and asked. A hand was placed on his shoulder. Gu Lingqing's eyes flashed with sharpness. He threw him over his shoulder. The man was thrown to the ground, still holding the spray in his hand. Gu Lingqing dashed towards Baya. Another man dashed out and stood in front of Gu Lingqing. He didn't stop and dashed over. Before the man could throw a punch, he was pushed away and hit the car. Gu Lingqing was too fast. He wasn't a match for him at all. Get in the car, the man shouted. The man who was hit got up and jumped into the car. Gu Lingqing watched as the car with Baya drove away. He quickly chased after her. A gun came out of the car and was aimed at Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing jumped away. They stepped on the accelerator and ran away. Gu Lingqing immediately called the road management office. Help me check 2 cars. One is a black Santana with the car plate number **315 and the other is a black Volkswagen with the car plate number **510. Tell me their whereabouts in 10 minutes. He got into his car and sped along the road. Su Jiran waited for a while but Baya didn't come back. He called her but she didn't pick up either. He was unhappy and went out to look for her. Jiran, Xing Jinyan called out gently from behind him. Su Jiran turned to look at her and smiled devilishly. What's wrong? Xing Jinyan walked up to him, her face flushed. I've booked a room at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Of course he understood her hint. He liked the feeling of being chased by women. What did you say to Baya? Su Jiran asked. Xing Jinyan looked at his half-smiling eyes and couldn't tell what he was thinking. I love you, but my wife is someone else. I have 1,000 things to say to your wife, but she left angrily. I didn't have a chance to talk to her. Su Jiran laughed, lifted her chin, and kissed her on the lips. You're the only woman I'm worried about. Don't disappoint me. The things those little women do will only annoy me. You're so smart, you should understand, Su Jiran said meaningfully. Xing Jinyan's mind was buzzing. Did Su Jiran know something? Have you fallen in love with Baya? Xing Jinyan asked. What's there to love about her? You've just come back, have a good time with your family, Su Jiran said and walked towards the elevator. He didn't miss her at all. The director of the road bureau called Gu Lingqing. He asked the 2 cars to stop at the abandoned pier in Lijiang. Gu Lingqing quickly drove over. 1.5 hours later, he arrived at the pier. The surroundings were eerily quiet, and the 2 cars were parked there. Gu Lingqing flashed past. There was no one in the cars. In the row of warehouses, there was only one place with light. He quickly went over. Baya's body was curled up, and her arms were around her chest. She was facing him, shivering on the bed. Gu Lingqing realized that something was wrong, and he ran in worriedly. Baya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baya's face was unusually red, and her eyelashes trembled. She opened her eyes. Gu Lingqing, drive away. Don't talk, I'll send you to the hospital. Gu Lingqing carried her and turned around. The shutter door of the warehouse was pulled shut by the masked man. Kid, this woman is a peerless beauty. You should enjoy it, the person outside said sinisterly. Gu Lingqing knew what happened to Baiya. Her gaze became more and more unfocused, and the desire became stronger, as if there were countless ants crawling on her body. Gu Lingqing frowned, and his eyes were filled with tears. She would feel terrible. He understood this feeling. He was like this 3 years ago, and in the end, he lost his mind. She happened to pass by, and that was why he took her. Hold on for a while, my people will be here soon. Gu Lingqing put her on the bed. He looked around and found pinhole cameras in the 4 corners. Baiya watched as he tore off the wires of all 4 cameras. The pain was getting worse, and her mind was filled with some restricted images. She whimpered helplessly, and tears welled up in her eyes. She had never done anything bad, and she had never even talked bad about others behind their backs. Why did God treat her like this? Gu Lingqing made a call. Seeing that she was crying, his heart softened a little, and he wiped away her tears. Baiya looked at him fixedly, and her eyes were filled with tears. It brightened her face, and she looked even more sexy and beautiful. She straightened her waist, and her soft and warm red lips touched his. Her hands wrapped around the back of his neck, and she pulled him to her side. His body froze, and his back stiffened. Her elegant scent rushed into his nose, and the soft clove was unbridled between his lips. It was so eager and hot, and he swallowed the taste that belonged to him. Gu Lingqing frowned, and only felt that his suppressed rationality was on the verge of collapse. The sweat that he had been holding back trickled down his forehead. Baiya saw that he was not moving, and was very anxious. She kissed from the corner of his mouth to his chest. Gu Lingqing was startled, and he clamped her chin, pushed it away, and looked at her with a burning gaze. Do you know what you're doing? She was about to die from the heat, and she had completely lost her rationality. Leave, you, go away, she said, panting, but kissed his lips again. Her kissing skills were very bad, but it was so damn soft, and there was a sweet feeling in his heart. He closed his eyes, and didn't want to think anymore. She was the one who was drugged. But he also seemed to be drugged. His breathing became heavier, and he looked at Baiya deeply. I feel so bad, Baiya said while crying. Gu Lingqing made up his mind. He knew that she was under the influence of the drug, but he didn't want to miss it. Baiya, I will take responsibility. I, Gu Lingqing, swear that in this lifetime, I will only have you as my woman. Chapter 35. Baiya couldn't see his face clearly. Her mind was swallowed up by the darkness. It will hurt a little. Bear with it, Gu Lingqing said worriedly. If it weren't for the drug, he would have done the first part carefully. Gu Lingqing was about to unbuckle his belt when the shutter door was opened. He looked at the door alertly. Lieutenant Colonel Shang came with the soldiers and a doctor. Chief, are you okay? Lieutenant Colonel Shang asked worriedly. Gu Lingqing was a little absent-minded. If they had come a little later, something would have happened between him and Baiya. He was a little annoyed. He stood up and ordered the doctor, give her a tranquilizer first. Yes. The doctor gave Baiya a tranquilizer. Baiya, who was in pain, looked at the medicine being injected into the needle hole weakly. The restlessness in her body gradually disappeared. She fell into a deep sleep. Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at Baiya's flushed face, the chief's clothes were untidy, and there were hickeys on his neck. He said worriedly, Chief, were you molested? Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him. You talk a lot of nonsense. He carried Baiya and walked towards their car. Lieutenant Colonel Shang touched his nose. Why did he feel like he had ruined someone's good time? Baiya woke up in a daze. The first thing that flashed in her memory was that she was kidnapped. She sat up in a panic. Her mind became clearer and clearer. Yesterday, she was drugged and it was Gu Lingqing who saved her. She even molested Gu Lingqing. It was so embarrassing. What are you thinking about? Why are you so focused? Gu Lingqing asked. Only then did Baiya realize that Gu Lingqing was sitting on the sofa. She looked into his deep eyes and thought of last night. She couldn't help blushing. Nothing, I'm going to brush my teeth and wash up. She got up and didn't dare to look at him. She almost ran into the bathroom. Gu Lingqing got up and leaned against the door frame, watching her brush her teeth and wash her face. Do you remember what happened yesterday? Gu Lingqing asked. Baiya looked down. She remembered that she had touched that part of his body, and the feeling was still there. She wanted to play dead. I don't remember, Baiya said guiltily. Gu Lingqing's eyes darkened. Did she not even dare to admit it? Gu Lingqing gritted his teeth and tightened his jaw. You were drugged last night. Baiya turned to look at him, her eyes gleaming. Did the general save me? Gu Lingqing sneered, I'll do it with you. Obviously not. Your subordinates came at that time. Baiya exposed his lie. The corners of Gu Lingqing's mouth curled up. So you remember. Was it a short-term memory loss just now? Baiya, she knew that she had fallen into his trap. She looked down and complained that he didn't give her face. Why are you like this? He looked at her condescendingly. His breath was all over her face. Why am I like this, don't you understand? His voice became softer, a little gloomy, a little repressed, and a little suggestive. Baiya's heart was beating very fast. He really had feelings for her. She wasn't imagining it. But she was a married woman, and this wasn't appropriate. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. He saw that it was Su Jiran's call. He frowned, picked it up and said coldly, What's the matter? Where's Baiya? Let her answer the phone, Su Jiran said angrily. Gu Lingqing glanced at Baiya and passed the phone to her. It's Su Jiran. Baiya didn't expect that Su Jiran would call Gu Lingqing to look for her. She took the phone suspiciously. What's the matter? You're sleeping with Gu Lingqing? Su Jiran asked sarcastically, hiding his anger. Don't use your dirty thoughts to think of others, Baiya said unhappily. You better not. Gu Lingqing is the chief of the special forces and the youngest general in history. His father is the deputy chief, and one day, he will become the president of the country. If you're with him, you'll be leaving a stain on his life. You're my wife, my woman, Su Jiran said arrogantly. She hated the phrase, you're my woman, Su Jiran. Don't you think you have too many women? Baiya said coldly. But I only have you as my wife, Su Jiran said sternly. He gritted his teeth and his gaze was sharp. Then you should control your women even more. Kidnapping and drugging me. If it wasn't for your connivance, would they have dared to do it? Was there a need for them to do so? Su Jiran was surprised. You said that someone drugged you. Don't you know who it was? I was kidnapped right after I left the restaurant. How many people knew that I was in that restaurant? You can count your fingers. Who else has the motive and who has the ability to do so? I don't want to talk to you anymore. Don't call me anymore. Baiya hung up the phone angrily. You still want such a scumbag? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Baiya recalled what Su Jiran said. Gu Lingqing was a general and the head of the special forces. He might become the president of the country in the future. She was a married woman. He treated her so well. She shouldn't hinder his future. I'm going back. I still have to work today. Baiya nodded indifferently. Gu Lingqing didn't like it when she was like this. It made his heart feel like it was being tugged at. He grabbed her chin and lifted it up. What do you want from me? Baya looked straight into his beautiful eyes. To me, you are like the sun. As long as the sun shines, I can feel warmth. But if you get too close to me, I will turn into ashes before I even get close, Baya said seriously. Am I that scary in your eyes? Gu Lingqing was annoyed. His chest was heaving up and down. I'm not scary. I'm just stating the truth. The truth is that you're timid. Gu Lingqing let go of his hand and turned his face away. You can leave. Baya nodded respectfully. She picked up her bag and left without looking back. Gu Lingqing's fist hit the wall heavily. He frowned. This was the first time he lost control like this. Su Jiran was hung up. His gaze was sharp as he dialed Xing Jinyan's number and questioned him. Did you ask someone to kidnap Baya last night? Of course not. Who told you that? Was Baya kidnapped last night? Xing Jinyan pretended to be innocent. Don't let me find out it was you. Otherwise, I won't let you go, Su Jiran said fiercely. Didn't you say that you don't love her? Xing Jinyan felt wronged. Even if I don't love her, I won't allow anyone to bully her because of her identity as Mrs. Su. Okay, that's it. I have something to do here. Su Jiran hung up the phone in annoyance. Xing Jinyan gritted his teeth. Baya was just Mrs. Su. Soon, she wouldn't be. Chapter 36. Xing Jinyan's phone rang. Seeing that it was Sen's call, she walked back to her room and picked it up. Sen, she said in a sweet voice. Xing Jinyan, what's the background of that Gu Lingqing? Brother Sen asked. What's wrong? Xing Jinyan frowned. He was annoyed, but his voice was still as gentle as ever. Damn it. He's investigating the car and found Little Hay. Little Hay is my man. He's going to find me. Don't worry. It's fine. How about this? Do me one more thing. I'll arrange for Little Hay to hide abroad. Without Little Hay, they won't be able to find you, Xing Jinyan said coldly. What else? Brother Sen was annoyed. Xing Jinyan's eyes flashed fiercely. Kill Baya. Baya was dead. She could only be Mrs. Su. I didn't expect you to be so ruthless even though you're usually so gentle, Brother Sen sneered. Of course not. I just don't want them to find you, Xing Jinyan said gently. Okay, but Little Hay has to leave tonight. Don't worry. Little Hay will leave and your real estate development project will be approved, Xing Jinyan promised. Gu Lingqing was extremely depressed. She couldn't even eat breakfast. She went back to her room to change for the meeting. She saw a work ID on the floor. He picked it up. It was Baya's. In the photo, she had a simple and elegant face. She was smiling peacefully, but there was an unresolvable sorrow in her eyes. This woman was really forgetful. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing ordered. Baya had breakfast near the hospital. It was still early. She leisurely walked over. She was thinking about what had happened last night. Even now, those images made her heart beat faster. When she was near the entrance of the hospital, a black car rushed towards her. That kind of speed, and that kind of route, was aimed at her. Baya was startled and subconsciously ran toward the shop next to her. However, the owner of the car wanted to kill her. He drove at an astonishing speed. Baya couldn't outrun him. He was too anxious and fell to the ground. She could only watch as the car came crashing towards her. Beside her, a Bentley sped past her and crashed into the flower bed, blocking her way. There was another bang. The black car crashed into the Bentley. Chief, Lieutenant Colonel Shang exclaimed as he got down from a military vehicle behind. Seeing that the situation was not good, the black car quickly retreated. Baya watched as Gu Lingqing was carried out of the Bentley by several soldiers and sent to the hospital. Her head was buzzing, and she stood there for a long time, unable to recover from it. Could it be that Gu Lingqing was trying to save her? Doesn't he know how dangerous he is? Baya rushed to the hospital and asked the service counter, "A minute ago, a group of soldiers sent an unconscious man here. Where did they send him?" "Department of Brain, Intensive Care, 18th floor," the nurse at the reception desk said. Baya immediately rushed to the 18th floor of the neurology department. Gu Lingqing was going through all kinds of tests. She sat in the waiting area worriedly. The director and the important leaders had all come over. They looked solemn. She was really afraid that something might go wrong. Baya felt even more uneasy when she saw them like this. If anything happened to Gu Lingqing because he saved her, she would never forgive herself. Time ticked by. Finally, Baya saw Gu Lingqing being pushed out of the emergency room. His head was bandaged and his left arm was in a cast. He looked very serious. Her eyes reddened in an instant, and she ran up. "Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to come near," the soldier said sternly. Baya's heart skipped a beat. Lieutenant Colonel Shang glanced at Baya. "Follow him." Thank you," Baya said respectfully. She followed the cart into the VIP room. Lieutenant Colonel Shang left with the soldiers. In the room, there was only Gu Lingqing and her. Baya's eyes were red and misty. She sat on the chair beside the bed and choked with sobs. "How did you get hurt so badly?" Gu Lingqing slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep, like the vast universe, reflecting the two of her. "Do you feel sorry for me?" Gu Lingqing asked in a deep voice. He, because of her, got hurt more and more seriously. And she, apart from feeling guilty, couldn't do anything else. Suddenly, she felt resentful towards Su Jiran. If he hadn't been a troublemaker, she wouldn't have been hated by his women, and Gu Lingqing wouldn't have gotten hurt. "I must be your jinx. It seems that every time you see me, nothing good will happen," Baya said apologetically, tears flowing down. He brushed her tears with his index finger and slightly raised the corner of his mouth. "But, I must be your lucky star. When you see me, you will definitely be safe." Baya was touched by his words and smiled through her tears. "Have you had breakfast?" "No, are you going to feed me?" Gu Lingqing looked at her with burning eyes. Baya blushed a little and skipped the topic. "I'll go buy some breakfast." Gu Lingqing looked at her back as she left, and his eyes became deep. It seemed that it was a blessing in disguise for him. Baya went to the cafeteria to get breakfast and found that she had lost her work card. Fortunately, there was a nurse she knew who was also getting breakfast, so she borrowed her card. She went back to Gu Lingqing's room. He was resting with his eyes closed, looking elegant, just like a noble prince. She walked in quietly. Gu Lingqing opened his eyes and looked at her. "I didn't fall asleep. I'm hungry." "Oh." She put the breakfast on the bedside table and saw that he was still reading the Russian book. "Did Lieutenant Colonel Shang send it here so quickly?" "I put it in the car and asked him to bring it here first. He's going back to get my clothes now." Gu Lingqing explained patiently. Baya blushed, squatted down in front of the bed, shook the bed and put down the board. In order to make him more comfortable, she pulled out his pillow. Because she was too close, her chest accidentally bumped into his hard chest. Gu Lingqing looked at her with burning eyes. If he had forced himself on her yesterday, would their relationship be different? He clearly remembered the feeling of kissing her, as if he was trapped in tenderness and didn't want to get out. "Baya, fall in love with me," Gu Lingqing said hoarsely. Her heart skipped a beat and she looked into his black eyes. There seemed to be a fire burning and jumping in the depths. She felt cramped and couldn't think. She wanted to wake up first. Gu Lingqing didn't let her retreat. He pressed his hand on her neck. The heat of his palm touched her skin, forcing her to look up. Chapter 37. Her lips were very easy to kiss. They were soft, and warm, with the unique fragrance of her body. He couldn't help but want to go deeper. He licked her lips, and the strong taste of the sun made her a little dizzy. Baya felt that she couldn't breathe, and the oxygen seemed to be sucked away little by little. Unconsciously, she opened her mouth. Baya felt flustered and couldn't think. She wanted to push him away, but she felt that her limbs were weak. Baya held his arm. No. Xiaoya, I will take responsibility. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice, looking into her eyes sincerely. Baya crawled out from under him and didn't dare to look at him. She lowered her head and said, I will come to see you at noon. Baya almost ran away. She felt that she was about to say yes to him. But she didn't divorce, so it was wrong. She returned to the office in a daze. Lu Shuang was already waiting for her in her office. Why are you so late? My friend had a car accident, so I went to see him. Baya sat down in front of the desk. Lu Shuang smiled, sat down at Baya's desk, and said proudly, Girl, I have good news for you. Baya looked at Lu Shuang's expression, and an idea flashed in her mind. You found the evidence of Su Jiran having an affair? Sort of, but I still have to wait for a few days, hee. Lu Shuang said ambiguously. Why do you have to wait for a few days? Baya was puzzled. Lu Shuang smiled carelessly. That girl was said to be Su Jiran's former assistant. She had the phone recording of Su Jiran having an affair, and she asked for 200,000 yuan. If she told Baya would definitely not agree to buy it at such a price. Anyway, her old man had 200,000 yuan. But she had to compromise on some things. For example, a blind date. You have to help me with one thing. Lu Shuang said with a smile. What is it? I have a blind date on Saturday. Come with me. If you come with me, your business will be settled. Okay, if you want me to accompany you, I will accompany you even if there are no conditions. She only had one friend, Lu Shuang, and she treasured him very much. Then I'll go back to my office. Lu Shuang stood up. Baya suddenly thought of something. When you're free, help me find a house. I want to move out. You should have moved a long time ago. Lu Shuang patted his chest. I'll look for a house. Thank you. Baya watched Lu Shuang leave gratefully. Her life was not empty, at least there was friendship. At noon, she hesitated whether she should visit Gu Lingqing. She could feel that Gu Lingqing had some thoughts about her. If she went, would it mean that she acquiesced to his thoughts? But if he didn't go, it would seem unreasonable. After all, he was injured saving her. He was her savior. Baya was in a dilemma. Her phone rang. When she saw it was Gu Lingqing, her heart raced. She took a deep breath and answered the call. When are you coming? Gu Lingqing asked in a deep voice. Well, I have something to do at noon, Baya said guiltily. Your work permit is with me. If you don't come to my place, I'll go to your place, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Then, I'll come over after I get my lunch, Baya said softly. Okay. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone and looked at Lieutenant Colonel Shang. You don't have to stay here. How can we do that? If something happens to you, we can't afford it, Lieutenant Colonel Shang said worriedly. You're too conspicuous here. Besides, I'm fine. If I ask you to leave, then leave. Don't talk so much nonsense, Gu Lingqing said impatiently. Lieutenant Colonel Shang couldn't do anything about the chief, so he could only listen to him. Baya stood at the door of Gu Lingqing's ward. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The door was opened. She was surprised that it was Gu Lingqing who came to open her door in person. Was he feeling better? Before she said anything, he pulled her in, closed the door, and kissed her lips passionately. Baya's mind went blank. She opened her eyes wide and couldn't react for a moment. His kiss became deeper and deeper. His red tongue entered her mouth and messed up her breath. She knew it was wrong. She came back to herself and pushed him away desperately. Gu Lingqing let go of her lips. His chest was pressed against hers, and his strong breath surrounded her. Stay with me. I'm not asking for your opinion. This is an order, he said in a deep voice. His deep eyes were bottomless. We can't do this, Baiya said rationally. Why not? Su Jiran doesn't like you. Your marriage with him exists in name only. If you continue to be with him, it will only be hell, Gu Lingqing said with certainty. But I'm still married to him now. I can't get out of it with any reason. Baiya's eyes turned red. I'm only asking you, do you like me? Gu Lingqing asked directly. Baiya's mind was in a mess. One word from her could very well be their doom. Can't we be friends? Baiya was annoyed. In my opinion, there can't be pure friendship between a man and a woman. If you like me, no matter what I face, I will go on without hesitation. If you don't like me. Gu Lingqing paused and looked at her with burning eyes. Baiya clenched her fists. If I don't like you, what will you do? He didn't answer. There was a glint in his eyes and he asked, will you like me? Who wouldn't like a handsome man like you? Your looks, background, and status are enough to make a woman obsessed with you. But if this kind of liking is just a momentary impulse, I don't think it will last long, Baiya said rationally. Gu Lingqing squinted his eyes and shot out a sharp gaze. Couldn't she compromise? Couldn't she give in? What was wrong with being with Gu Lingqing? The woman he liked would definitely be spoiled to death. How do you know it won't last long if you haven't tried? Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. It's a mistake from the beginning. How can it last long? Baiya said pessimistically. He hated that she was like a tortoise, hiding in her shell. He lifted her chin and took her lips in a punishing kiss. It was very ferocious. He sucked on her lips like a storm. When she breathed, all she breathed in was his strong manly scent. It almost filled her lungs and her limbs were weak. She couldn't even push him away. He kissed her until he was panting and finally let go of her. He looked at her swollen lips and curled up the corners of his lips. Didn't you ask what I would do if you don't like me? Baiya looked at his crazily rolling eyes and had a bad feeling. Chapter 38. Baiya was frightened by him. The word rape was the nightmare of her life. She thought of that night, that man, that was the nightmare of her life and the lingering fear. Her happiness, her love, was over. Baiya was trembling with fear. Then I will hate you. Gu Lingqing saw the real fear in her eyes. His heart felt as if it was being twisted by a hand, and the pain came unexpectedly. She was actually so afraid of him. It seemed that it was meaningless for him to force it. He turned around dispiritedly, opened the drawer, picked up her work permit, put it on the bedside table, and said in a low voice, Go, don't come here again. I am a wolf, next time, I can't guarantee that I will let you go like I did yesterday. Baiya's heart was very sour. Why was her relationship with Gu Lingqing getting worse and worse? Her mind was blank. She put the food on the bedside table, took out her work permit, and hung it around her neck. Take your food away, I don't want to eat it, Gu Lingqing said coldly. I got this food from the canteen, I didn't cook it myself. If you go to the canteen to get food, you will also get this, Baiya explained with red eyes. You brought it. I don't want to eat it. Take it away, or do you want me to throw it away myself? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Baiya had no choice. She went forward, took the lunchbox, and said indifferently, Pay attention to your rest. She turned around and walked towards the door. Gu Lingqing sneered, her eyes were as red as blood. She really didn't feel nostalgic at all, and left so quickly. She clenched her fists tightly. Baiya opened the door, saw Su Shaoling walk to the door, and subconsciously, she closed the door guiltily. Well, Su Xiaoling is coming, I will hide first, Baiya said and went into the bathroom. She was annoyed when she went in. Why did she want to hide? She didn't do anything wrong. Su Xiaoling came in with lilies and a fruit basket in her hands. Today, she was still dressed up beautifully. Her makeup was exquisite, her earrings were bright, and she wore a pink miniskirt. Her chest was pulled very low, and from time to time, half of her snow-white skin was exposed, but it was still very sexy. She put the flowers in the vase, put the fruit basket on the table, and smiled. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would have thought you were avoiding the banquet tonight. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything, he looked at the bathroom and frowned slightly. Su Xiaoling was used to his alienation. Since he did that to every woman, she didn't mind. She sat down on the chair beside him. Grandma said that since we can't announce the date of the wedding banquet, we'll go to her place for dinner another day and decide on the wedding date. Gu Lingqing's face was cold, and his pitch-black eyes were vast and boundless. If you don't answer, I'll take it as you agree. Su Xiaoling said to herself. Baiya leaned against the wall, feeling a little uncomfortable. He was about to get married, and they were like passers-by in a hurry. No matter how unwilling they were, this chapter would be over. So, she made the right decision. It was the wisest thing for her to miss Gu Lingqing. She opened the door and looked at them. She met Gu Lingqing's eyes. Her heart trembled and she closed the door again. Gu Lingqing was unhappy. Was he a poisonous snake or a beast? She was afraid to avoid him. He gritted his teeth and looked at Su Xiaoling. The suppressed anger was spreading. Okay, let's get married. Su Xiaoling was happy and threw herself at Gu Lingqing passionately. The strong perfume filled the whole room, and the fragrance was pleasant. She wanted to kiss Gu Lingqing's lips. Gu Lingqing hesitated for a moment, avoided it, and stood up. Su Xiaoling hugged Gu Lingqing, afraid that he would regret it. Lingqing, do you want me? Gu Lingqing looked at the door of the washroom. There was no movement at all. That woman treated him as if he didn't exist. He was nothing in that woman's heart. He felt depressed and uncomfortable. When he was in a trance, Su Xiaoling had already taken off her clothes. Anyway, we are going to get married. If you want me today, I will definitely serve you well, Su Xiaoling said anxiously. He couldn't hide his disgust. He was so angry at Baiya that he lost his mind. Now that he thought about it, he really didn't like this woman at all. Su Xiaoling, I was just joking. Su Xiaoling was stunned, and the smile on her face was a little awkward. Gu Lingqing frowned. He was very annoyed and wanted to refuse. He saw Baiya come out of the washroom and tiptoed towards the door. She really knew how to behave. Lingqing, I will definitely serve you well. I will be a good mother and a good wife. Su Xiaoling bit her lips and said. Baiya listened, but the discomfort in her heart spread all over her body. She wanted to leave as soon as possible. The air here made her feel suffocated. She opened the door with a click. Su Xiaoling heard the sound and was about to turn around. Gu Lingqing pinched her chin and stared at her mouth with his deep eyes. His black lotus-like eyes were dark and surging. Su Xiaoling felt that she was deeply trapped in it and couldn't get out. It was the first time she looked at him so closely. She could see every pore on his face. He was a perfect man who was impeccable in all aspects. Baiya opened the door. Lieutenant Colonel Shang and an old woman were at the door. She was upset and couldn't get out, so she went back to the washroom. Gu Lingqing frowned and looked at Baiya's back helplessly. Lingqing. Su Xiaoling called in a sweet voice. I like a woman with a smaller mouth. Yours doesn't seem suitable. He said coldly and walked towards the washroom. Grandma came in accompanied by Lieutenant Colonel Shang and saw Su Xiaoling taking off her clothes. Oh, I'm sorry. You can continue. Grandma pulled Lieutenant Colonel Shang out. Su Shaoling also looked embarrassed and put on the clothes she took off. Gu Lingqing went into the washroom, closed the door and locked it. "Why don't you go out?" he asked in a low voice. "Someone is at the door." "I can't go out," Baiya explained. "Baiya, why are you feeling guilty?" Gu Lingqing questioned and examined her. It was like an X-ray, so she had nowhere to hide. "I'm not feeling guilty." Baiya lowered her head. His question made her breathless. "Really?" A fierce look flashed in Gu Lingqing's eyes. He grabbed her waist, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her lips. Baiya leaned back against the wall. Chapter 39. Baiya realized what he wanted to do and her legs trembled. He was so strong that she couldn't stop him at all. She pushed his shoulders. Baiya snorted. She had never been touched like this before. It was as if there were fireworks going off in her head. It was a very strange feeling, but it also seemed to be bewitching. His breathing became heavy and there was a layer of love in his eyes. He looked at her misty eyes and said, "You have what you want, right? You shouldn't do this." Baiya was embarrassed and annoyed. "What should I do?" "I don't want to let you go," he asked. Baiya was so tense that she didn't dare to move. He could feel the strength of her muscles, and waves of excitement surged in his heart. Baiya let out a moan but didn't dare to be too loud. Su Shaoling was still outside the door. She wanted to struggle but she was no match for him. She could only hit him and push him to prevent him from going further. Gu Lingqing's expression was locked and he said gently, "You want it too, right?" "Let me go," Baiya requested. She had never been touched by a man other than that time when she was raped. She blushed and bit her lower lip. "Relax, I won't hurt you, I promise," Gu Lingqing said sincerely. How was he not hurting her? Baiya looked at him with red eyes. He didn't want to scare her, so he kissed Baiya's lips. "I just want you to like me and be with me. If you don't try, how will you know if we can be together forever? I'll just wait for you to get divorced." His voice was very gentle and his breath was on her face. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. "Lingqing, what are you doing?" Baiya was so scared that she didn't dare to move. Her back was stiff. But he didn't seem to hear it at all and looked straight at her face. He had always been pure and had sex with her because of the drug. After that, he didn't have any urges because he had a taste of a woman. Until he met her. He knew what he had been waiting for. He didn't deny his feelings towards her. He just wanted her. He unzipped his pants. Baiya was really scared, so she opened the door when he let go. Su Shaoling was shocked to see Baiya in the washroom. Baiya had no time to care about her shock. She opened the door and ran away. Gu Lingqing was furious and slammed the door. What was so bad about him that she was so afraid of him? Baiya ran out of the brain department. She was still in a state of shock. She was actually like Gu Lingqing, like that, almost like that, like that, like that. She was probably crazy. Baiya pushed open the door to her office. Su Jiran was sitting on her chair. When he saw her coming in, he twisted out the burning cigarette butt. "Did you do it with Gu Lingqing yesterday?" Baiya looked into his cold eyes and felt a chill. Thinking of her kidnapping and drugging last night, as well as the danger this morning and Gu Lingqing's injuries, she couldn't help but feel angry. It was all because of him. What right did he have to question her? "Do you care?" Baiya asked with bloodshot eyes. "You're my wife, I won't allow you to make me a cuckold." Su Jiran stood up. Suddenly, he felt a lot more dangerous. "I've been made a cuckold by you countless times. Where do you get the cheek to control me?" Baiya shouted anxiously. He walked in front of her and said coldly, "Woman, don't have such a bad temper. It will only make people annoyed. Men are romantic, but women are cheap. Xing Jinyan came to me today and wanted to be my secretary. I didn't want to agree, but now it seems that she's much cuter than you. Then I wish you two have a son soon and be united forever, Baiya said indifferently. He was sick of it. He pressed down on her shoulders and slammed her against the wall. Woman, don't test my patience. If you think I'm annoying, then get a divorce, he roared. Do you want a man that much? Su Jiran was finally angry. His anger spread and burned until his eyes were bloodshot. Baiya felt that his words were incoherent and illogical. Communicating with him would shorten her life by 10 years. It has nothing to do with you. Let go of me. Baiya struggled to break free. Su Jiran's lips curled up. Looks like it's time for me to fulfill my duties as a husband. I'll definitely satisfy you. Baiya's eyes widened in panic, but she was even more angry. Su Jiran, get out. Get out where? You'll be begging me to come in later. He hugged her shoulders and pressed her against the desk. Her documents and books were scattered all over the floor. She saw danger in his eyes and pushed him away anxiously. Compared to Gu Lingqing, she would rather be Gu Lingqing than the disgusting Su Jiran. Su Jiran's breathing became chaotic. Move, you know. The more you struggle, the more excited I get. You're shameless, Baiya said through gritted teeth. He did not seem to hear her scolding and curled his lips. His hand moved up her thigh. Yo, this is love between man and beast. Lu Shuang vaguely heard the sound of Baiya's office and appeared in time. When Baiya saw Lu Shuang, she was surprised and even had the urge to cry. It was tears of joy, grievance, and all sorts of complicated emotions. Su Jiran stared at the emotions in Baiya's eyes. His gaze tightened and he was very annoyed. She really did not want him to touch her. For a moment, he was in a trance. The woman in front of him was still the Baiya who loved him deeply. Because of love, even if he betrayed her, schemed against her, and hurt her, she still married him without hesitation. It seemed that something was changing quietly. Baiya took the opportunity to walk away from him and ran to Lu Shuang. Cool girl. Lu Shuang pulled Baiya behind him and glanced at Su Jiran with his beautiful eyes. Then, he glanced at the mess on the floor and was instantly displeased. I say, Minister Su, there are many women outside if you want. There's also one waiting for you in the military. Baiya has an operation in the afternoon. Do you want her to not even have the strength to hold a knife? Su Jiran stared at Baiya and saw her coldness and resistance. There was a strange light in his eyes. I'll pick you up tonight. I think we'll have to use our wedding room tonight. Baiya frowned and watched Su Jiran walk past her. After he left, she immediately went to open the window. She did not like the smell of perfume and cigarettes on him. Chapter 40. Baiya was terrified of Su Jiran. She hadn't taken her annual leave yet. She had asked for leave, so her phone was turned off. When she reached the entrance of the hospital, two strange men blocked her way. Baiya had a bad feeling. She said sternly, "What do you want? There are cameras here. You can't escape even if you kidnap me." "Madam, Minister Su said that if you come out, we will take you back." Baiya didn't expect that Su Jiran would even consider that she wanted to leave early. "I'm afraid I'm not free right now. I have a gathering with my friends. I'll be back later." Baiya refused and walked past the two men. The two men held Baiya's hands and said coldly, "I'm sorry, madam. Minister Su said that no matter what excuse you have, we will take you to the villa." Baiya was almost dragged away. She was very scared and struggled. "Let me go. Let me go. I don't want to go back. What's the difference between you and kidnapping?" Her struggle was useless. She was taken to the parking lot. She saw Lieutenant Colonel Shang get out of the car and immediately greeted him. "Lieutenant Colonel Shang, Lieutenant Colonel Shang." Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at her in surprise. He's a special forces soldier. Let me go. Baya said to the people who were dragging her in disgust. The men looked at each other and loosened their grip. Baya broke free and quickly ran towards Lieutenant Colonel Shang. Are you here to see Lieutenant Colonel Gu? I'm here to bring food. Lieutenant Colonel Shang replied. Baya saw the two men staring at her fiercely. She said in panic, let's go up together. I'm going to see him too. She walked forward, and the two men actually followed behind her all the way. Her brows furrowed tightly. She followed Lieutenant Colonel Shang to Gu Lingqing's ward. She lowered her head and glanced at Gu Lingqing. He said that to his grandmother. She thought of the last scene and blushed. She was the one who ran away. Now she was a lamb in a tiger's mouth. Gu Lingqing glanced at Baya and pretended not to see her. Lieutenant Colonel, here's your food, Lieutenant Colonel Shang said respectfully. He put the food on the bedside table and shook Gu Lingqing's bed. Baya didn't dare to walk forward. She stood at the door and felt restrained. You can go now. You don't have to stay here with me. Gu Lingqing said to his grandmother. Since you are in love with that girl from the Su family, hurry up and marry her. Give me a few great-grandchildren. I don't know how long I can live. Gu Lingqing's grandmother urged. I know what I'm doing. I'll solve my own problems, Gu Lingqing said coldly. I've watched you solve it for a long time, but you still haven't solved it. Gu Lingqing's grandmother complained. Gu Lingqing looked at Lieutenant Colonel Shang. Send my grandmother back. Baya became nervous and clenched her fists. It was Su Jiran outside and Gu Lingqing inside. She couldn't afford to offend either of them. Lieutenant Colonel Shang sent Gu Lingqing's grandmother out. Her grandmother glanced at Baya. She thought she was a caretaker. She didn't care and walked out of the room. Gu Lingqing stared at her. Baya didn't dare to look up. She bit her lip and clenched her fists. Gu Lingqing chuckled. Are you going to keep quiet? Baya was shy. She explained, there are two men outside who want to catch me. I'm hiding here. Gu Lingqing picked up his phone and made a call. There are two men following Baya. Go and deal with them. Baya looked at him. He helped her again. Come here, Gu Lingqing said. Baya stood in place and did not move. She wanted to go out, but she was afraid that they hadn't finished dealing with them. Do you want me to come over and hug you? Gu Lingqing said. Baya's ears turned red. She walked towards his cramped body. She stood in front of the bed. Gu Lingqing looked at her and didn't say a word. He was born to be a king. He had a strong sense of oppression. Did I scare you just now? Gu Lingqing's tone softened. Baya nodded. I'll be gentler next time, Gu Lingqing said, a little annoyed. Next time. There would be a next time. Baya's heart was beating so fast that it almost jumped out of her throat. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. He picked it up. Sir, it's been solved. I sent them to the police station. They won't be released for a week. Gu Lingqing replied. Baya heard the voice on the phone. I'm leaving now. I'll visit you another day. She almost ran away in defeat again. Gu Lingqing looked at her back helplessly. In Su Jiran's villa. He was listening to the report on the phone. A cold light flashed and he ordered, ask Miller to do something. This battle has made Gu Lingqing too idle. Yes. Su Jiran turned around and looked at Little Black who was kneeling on the ground. Minister Su, please spare my life. I was just following Sen's instructions. Little Black wailed, and the bright chain was stained with dirty blood. Su Jiran looked at Little Black coldly. Did anything happen between my woman and Gu Lingqing after they were drugged? Little Black was not stupid. He hurriedly said, no, their clothes were neat when they were rescued. Su Jiran's anger disappeared a lot. He knew that Baya would not let others touch her. If she wanted to touch her, she would have done it long ago. Even if she was drugged, she would still keep her chastity for him. It seemed that he should really share his wealth with this woman. Minister Su, what should we do with him? Su Jiran's subordinate asked. Lock him up first. The best part is yet to come. Su Jiran raised the corner of his mouth. He pulled off his tie and called the director of obstetrics and gynecology. I'm Su Jiran. I want to give Baya a surprise tonight. Please do me a favor. I happen to have 2 tickets to Hawaii. I'll ask someone to give them to you. As soon as Baya came out of the hospital, the director of obstetrics and gynecology called her. Baya, it's an emergency. The hypertensive pregnant woman in bed 32 is about to give birth. Her husband asked you to come back to deliver the baby. Baya was stunned. How did the director know that she was at the door? It was an emergency. She had no time to think and ran to the obstetrics and gynecology department in a hurry. When she came out of the operating room, Su Jiran stood in front of her and smiled wickedly. It seemed that he had been waiting for her for a long time. Baya was shocked. She ignored him and forced her way over. Su Jiran grabbed her hand. Let go of me. Baya turned around and glared at him. Su Jiran smiled and carried her up in his arms. Are you touched? I'll take you to our wedding room in person. I'm not touched. Have you had enough fun, Su Jiran? Baya was trembling with fear. Su Jiran looked down at her and looked even more devilish. I'll have fun. If you perform well, I'll let bygones be bygones. I'll even let you have my child. From now on, your position as Mrs. Su will be as stable as a mountain. She did not want to have his child. She did not want to have anything to do with this devil. Chapter 41. She was thrown into the car by Su Jiran. He locked the door. His subordinate drove. Boss Su, we're being followed. What should we do? Su Jiran's subordinate looked at the rearview mirror and suddenly said. Su Jiran turned around and saw an Audi following behind them. A man lowered the brim of his hat and held a mobile phone in his hand, following them closely. Su Jiran smiled cynically. It's going to be rush hour soon. Play with him. Yes. Baya saw them circling around the city center and had a bad feeling in her heart. What was Su Jiran trying to do? Gu Lingqing listened to the report from the other end of the phone and said in a deep voice, did she leave voluntarily or unwillingly? She was dragged into the car by force. Gu Lingqing's soldier reported the truth. A sharp light flashed across Gu Lingqing's eyes. Which road are you on now? If necessary, invite him to the police station. It's very strange. Chief, I seem to have been exposed. His car has been circling around the city center. I understand. You continue to follow. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone and turned to face Lieutenant Colonel Shang. He ordered seriously, call the doctor to remove my cast. But that was a matter between a husband and wife. Was the chief too concerned? But what? Gu Lingqing replied in one sentence. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything. Immediately informed the director of the traffic police department. Send the real-time video of the city center to my phone. Gu Lingqing ordered again. His eyes were cold and irresistible. Lieutenant Colonel Shang swallowed his saliva without any ambition. He put his feet together, puffed out his chest and sucked in his stomach and saluted. Yes, Chief. 5:00. The rush hour began. There were more and more passers-by. In just 5 minutes, the traffic was heavy. Su Jiran's eyes shone with brilliance. He ordered arrogantly, let's start. Yes. Baya saw the car speeding up. The car drifted on the road. Ah! Baya staggered in the car and screamed. Su Jiaran cast a sidelong glance at her, admiring her unbearable pain as if it was a punishment. The smile in his eyes deepened. He never knew that his wife could be so cute even when she was embarrassed. Baya glared at him and grabbed the handle above the door at the right time to stabilize her body. She saw a woman riding an electric scooter in front of her, also running a red light. Su Jiaran's car did not slow down at all. Baya's heart skipped a beat. She shouted anxiously, "Stop the car! Stop the car! It's going to crash." Not only did the number of his subordinates not decrease, but they also charged forward. The woman on the electric scooter was frightened and drove the scooter randomly. Su Jiaran's car passed by the woman. Baya turned around. The woman ran straight into a car behind her. She was sent flying. Su Jiaran had no regard for human life. She never knew that he could be so bad. Why did she marry such a cruel and bloodthirsty man? She used to love him so much. Now, she finally knew how stupid she was. Su Jiaran. She's dead. Baya said anxiously. Su Jiaran smiled evilly. I didn't hit her. She ran the red light herself. Her driving skills are not good. If you hadn't been driving so fast, would this have happened? Baya was not calm and knocked him on the head. She had used up all her strength. He looked at her evilly as if it did not matter. Baya, congratulations. You've successfully aroused my interest. Aren't you too arrogant? Do you think that I'm arousing your interest? Baya glared and roared. I'm interested in you. Isn't that what you've been waiting for? I'll allow you to be unreasonable for a while, but I won't allow you to be unreasonable for a long time. Su Jiaran's eyes were filled with danger. Don't you understand? Baya's chest was heaving up and down. She had completely lost her rationality. Not everyone will wait for you in the same place after being hurt, and not everyone will continue to be a bitch. In the future, we will go our separate ways. Please don't interfere with my freedom anymore. Let me out of the car. Su Jiaran narrowed his eyes and observed her angry face. He saw determination in Baya's eyes. It was not the scheming he had always thought. This caused a flash of panic in his heart. You're my wife. Why can't I interfere? Su Jiaran asked coldly. Wife? Su Jiaran, when you cheated on me, did you ever think that you had a wife? When you got someone pregnant, did you ever think that you had a wife? When you sent me to the gates of hell in exchange for your girlfriend's safety, did you ever think that I was your wife? Baya screamed hysterically. Su Jiaran grabbed her chin. But you're still Mrs. Su, aren't you? Baya looked into Su Jiaran's eyes coldly. I don't care anymore. Su Jiaran's eyes were cold. He tightened his grip on Baya's chin. Baya, say it again. There are many women in this world who want to marry me, Su Jiaran. If you get divorced, don't expect me, Su Jiaran, to look at you again. Think carefully before you answer. He felt strangely uncomfortable. His breathing became heavier and heavier. He was inexplicably nervous about her answer. Baya felt that his straight man cancer had reached the terminal stage. If we get divorced and die of old age, there's no need to see each other anymore, Baya said firmly. As soon as she finished speaking, his thick breath, with the smell of tobacco, assaulted her. He kissed her lips. When his red lips touched hers, Su Jiaran felt an electric current flowing from his lips to his heart. Her lips were very soft, like cotton candy. With her fragrance, he sucked hard, as if he was punishing her. Baya felt the sting on her lips come and go. Her eyes were clear. She clenched her fists. No matter how painful it was, she would not cry out. She knew clearly that Su Jiaran did not know how to be gentle with a woman. Even if she was in pain, he would not let go. She could only grit her teeth and not let him go. Su Jiaran's breath became more and more rapid. Baya, let me tell you, I won't get divorced before I get tired of you, Su Jiran said firmly. His eyes were dyed red. I will only disgust you. Baya squeezed these words out of her teeth. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. It was a dangerous glint. Chapter 42. Lieutenant Colonel Shang plucked up his courage. Sir, it's not good for you to be alone, right? Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him like an ice blade. What's not good about it? Go back and prepare. Let Sang Lang go to the island for a drill tomorrow. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything else. Yes. Although Baya's injuries weren't serious, they were all abrasions and they were on her back. She couldn't wash and disinfect them herself. The nurses cleaned them up for her before sending them back. Baya laid on the bed. She was so hungry that her chest was almost touching her back. She didn't eat anything in the afternoon because she felt awkward. The smell of food hit her nose and she became even hungrier. Gu Lingqing pushed the door open and the nurses came in with a bowl of mullet soup, sweet and sour pork ribs and stir-fried vegetables with mushrooms. Are you hungry? Gu Lingqing asked gently. Baya felt a subtle sweetness in her heart and she nodded. She would remember. Maybe it was because her back was scarring. It hurt when she moved. If you don't want the wound to split open, just lie down and don't move, Gu Lingqing said. She looked at Gu Lingqing. His gaze softened. I'll feed you. In the morning, he was still the one lying on the bed. Now, he was the one. Are your head and hand okay? Baya asked with concern. I put them up to avoid the banquet tonight. Of course I'm fine, Gu Lingqing explained. He patiently removed the bones from the fish, put it into a spoon and passed it to her. The doctor said that this is good for scars. She felt a lot more at ease when he was fine. Baya ate the fish that he passed to her and her heart throbbed. Gu Lingqing, do you have any wishes? Baya asked. She wanted to do her best to help him achieve it. Don't you know my wish? Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. Baya remembered what he wanted. He didn't expect that his wish was for herself. Baya looked down. She was sick and he didn't want to make things difficult for her. What about you? She had many wishes. She wanted to be an outstanding doctor. She wanted to be with the man she loved and be together forever. She wanted to cook for the man she loved and watch the stars and the moon with him. She wanted her mother to get better soon. She wanted the happiness of the people she cared about. She wanted the happiness of the people she cared about. Go to Provence. I took my mother to travel there. It's a place she has always wanted to see, Baya said in a low mood. That's easy. If the money is not enough, I'll pay for it. Gu Lingqing said generously. Baya shook her head. My mother is mentally ill. She will hurt people when it gets serious. She can't be bailed out. Gu Lingqing furrowed his brows and didn't speak again. He concentrated on helping her remove the fish bones. Baya looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect work of art in the hands of a sculptor, especially his eyes, which were like the brightest stars in the sky. Baya looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect work of art in the hands of a sculptor. His eyes were like the brightest stars in the sky. Yeah. Baya did not deny it. Compared to Su Jiran? Gu Lingqing asked with raised brows. Compared to Su Jiran? Gu Lingqing raised his eyebrows. He was born with elegance and an unruly aura. He had an aura that could make people go crazy. He was the type that could make thousands of girls scream when he appeared. There's no comparison. Then which do you like better? Gu Lingqing wanted to know why. Baya felt that this sentence was a trap. If she said that she liked him, it would be like a confession. But she really didn't like Su Jiran anymore. I'm not a little girl anymore. I've passed the age of dreaming. I don't care about a man's appearance, Baya said ambiguously. Then what do you care about? Gu Lingqing didn't want to let her go. My heart. Baya simply said one word. This word was all-encompassing. She looked into Gu Lingqing's deep eyes. They looked at each other as if something was colliding in the air, creating layers of sparks. Gu Lingqing slowly moved closer to her. Baya's breathing became heavier and heavier. She had the urge to kiss him. I want to eat pork ribs, Baya said, breaking the atmosphere. Gu Lingqing didn't move closer. He cleared his throat and picked up a piece of pork ribs for her. He only started eating after she was done. Baya lay on the bed and looked at him. She felt that he was quite good at taking care of people. If you look at me again, I won't be able to control myself, Gu Lingqing said hoarsely. Baya blushed. She turned her face to the other side, with the back of her head facing him. Gu Lingqing couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. If she wasn't injured, he might not be as easy to talk to as he was now. After eating, Gu Lingqing lay on his bed. He didn't turn off the lights. Baya was quiet. She didn't look at him, but she could feel his presence. Gradually, she closed her eyes. In the middle of the night, she had too much water and needed to go to the toilet. She crept up quietly. Gu Lingqing was alert. He turned on the lights and held her. He asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Baya blushed. "I need to go to the toilet." Gu Lingqing couldn't help but carry her and walk to the toilet. "It's not that serious. It's just a scratch." "I feel much better now," Baya said awkwardly. "If you don't want your wound to split open and lie in bed for a few more days, shut up," Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. After he carried her to the toilet, he put her down gently, turned around, walked out of the toilet and closed the door. Shoo shoo could also make sounds. Baya could feel her face burning. After much difficulty, she opened the door and came out. Gu Lingqing picked her up again and put her back on the bed without giving her a chance to speak. She closed her eyes, but she didn't sleep. Gu Lingqing lay down again and turned off the lights. He didn't say anything. Baya looked at his blurry shadow in the dark. In the 3 years of marriage, Su Jiran had never been in the same room with her like this. She spent days and nights alone in the empty room. Guarding, she felt that she was no longer a woman, and she had also lost confidence. "Thank you, Gu Lingqing," Baya said sincerely. She was really grateful to him. Not only did he warm her in life, but he also warmed her heart. What did she do to deserve his love? Gradually, she fell asleep. When she woke up, Gu Lingqing was no longer there. Lu Shuang pushed the door open and saw Baya lying on the bed. He looked worried. "What happened to you? How did you get hurt like this? Why are you here?" Baya was surprised. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. "Your man called me and told me that you're staying in this room and asked me to take care of you. What happened to you? Is it serious?" "I had a small car accident." "It's not serious. I've already had a checkup. It's just some abrasions. I'll be fine soon. Maybe I'll be discharged in the afternoon. Don't worry." Baya turned around to show that she was really fine. "It's good that you're fine. Do you know what this is?" Lu Shuang took out a recording pen from his bag. Chapter 43. Lieutenant Colonel Shang plucked up his courage. "Sir, it's not good for you to be alone, right?" Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him like an ice blade. "What's not good about it? Go back and prepare. Let Sang Lang go to the island for a drill tomorrow." Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything else. "Yes." Although Baya's injuries weren't serious, they were all abrasions and they were on her back. She couldn't wash and disinfect them herself. The nurses cleaned them up for her before sending them back. Baya laid on the bed. She was so hungry that her chest was almost touching her back. She didn't eat anything in the afternoon because she felt awkward. The smell of food hit her nose and she became even hungrier. Gu Lingqing pushed the door open and the nurses came in with a bowl of mullet soup, sweet and sour pork ribs and stir-fried vegetables with mushrooms. Are you hungry? Gu Lingqing asked gently. Baya felt a subtle sweetness in her heart and she nodded. She would remember. Maybe it was because her back was scarring. It hurt when she moved. If you don't want the wound to split open, just lie down and don't move, Gu Lingqing said. She looked at Gu Lingqing. His gaze softened. I'll feed you. In the morning, he was still the one lying on the bed. Now, he was the one. Are your head and hand okay? Baya asked with concern. I put them up to avoid the banquet tonight. Of course, they're fine, Gu Lingqing explained. He patiently removed the bones from the fish, put it into a spoon and passed it to her. The doctor said that this is good for scars. She felt a lot more at ease when he was fine. Baya ate the fish that he passed to her and her heart throbbed. Gu Lingqing, do you have any wishes? Baya asked. She wanted to do her best to help him achieve it. Don't you know my wish? Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. Baya remembered what he wanted. He didn't expect that his wish was for herself. Baya looked down. She was sick, so he didn't want to make things difficult for her. What about you? What's your wish? She had many wishes. She wanted to be an outstanding doctor. I hope to get the person of my heart, to grow old together. She wanted to cook for the man she loved for the rest of her life and accompany him to watch the stars and the moon in the sky. I want my mother to get better soon. She wanted everyone she cared about to be happy. She seemed to be too greedy. Go to Provence. I brought my mother there for a trip. It's a place she has always wanted to visit, Baya said in a low mood. That's easy. If you don't have enough money, I'll pay for it. Gu Lingqing said generously. Baya shook her head. My mother has a mental illness. When it gets serious, she will hurt people. She can't be bailed out. Gu Lingqing frowned and didn't say anything else. She concentrated on picking out the fish bones. Baya looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect piece of art in the hands of a sculptor. Especially his eyes, they were like the brightest stars in the sky. Do I look good? Gu Lingqing glanced at her and passed the fish soup to her. Yes. Baya didn't deny it. Compared to Su Jiran. Gu Lingqing raised his eyebrows and asked. It was undeniable that Su Jiran's face was exquisite. He was born with elegance, with an unruly aura. He had an aura that could make people go crazy. He was the type that could make thousands of girls scream when he appeared. There's no comparison. Then which do you like more? Gu Lingqing insisted on knowing the reason. Baya felt that this sentence was a trap. If she said that she liked him, it would be like a confession. However, she really didn't like Su Jiran anymore. I'm not a little girl anymore. I've long passed the age of dreaming. I don't care about a man's appearance. Baya said ambiguously. Then what do you care about? Gu Lingqing didn't plan to let her go. My heart. Baya simply said one word. This word was all-encompassing. She looked into Gu Lingqing's deep eyes. Their eyes looked at each other as if something was colliding in the air, causing layers of sparks. Gu Lingqing slowly moved closer to her. Baya's breathing became heavier and heavier. She had an urge that he wanted to kiss her. Well, I want to eat pork ribs. Baya said and broke the atmosphere. Yes. Gu Lingqing didn't move closer. He cleared his throat and picked up a piece of pork ribs for her. He only started eating after she was done. Baya lay on the bed and looked at him. She felt that he was quite good at taking care of people. If you look at me again, I won't be able to control myself, Gu Lingqing said in a hoarse voice. Baiya blushed. She turned her face to the other side and looked at him with the back of her head. Gu Lingqing couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. If she wasn't injured, he might not be as easy to talk to as he was now. After eating, Gu Lingqing lay on his bed. He didn't turn off the lights. Baiya was quiet. She didn't look at him, but she could feel his presence. Gradually, she closed her eyes. In the middle of the night, she needed to go to the toilet. She crept up to her feet. Gu Lingqing was alert. He turned on the lights and held her. He asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Baiya blushed. "I need to go to the toilet." Gu Lingqing couldn't help but carry her and walk to the toilet. "It's not that serious. It's just a scratch." "I feel much better now," Baiya said awkwardly. "If you don't want your wound to split open and lie in bed for a few more days, shut up," Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. After he carried her to the toilet, he put her down gently, turned around, walked out of the toilet and closed the door. Xiu Xiu could also make sounds. Baiya could feel her face burning. After much difficulty, she opened the door and came out. Gu Lingqing picked her up again and put her back on the bed without giving her a chance to speak. She closed her eyes but didn't fall asleep. Gu Lingqing lay down again and turned off the lights. He didn't say anything. Baiya looked at his blurry shadow in the dark. In the 3 years of marriage, Su Jiran had never been in the same room with her like this. She spent days and nights alone in the empty room. Guarding, she felt that she was no longer a woman, and she had also lost confidence. "Thank you, Gu Lingqing," Baiya said sincerely. She was really grateful to him. Not only did he warm her in life, but also in her heart. What did she do to deserve his love? Gradually, she fell asleep. When she woke up, Gu Lingqing was no longer there. Lu Shuang pushed the door open and saw Baiya lying on the bed. He looked worried. "What happened to you? How did you get hurt like this? Why are you here?" Baiya was surprised. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. "Your man called me and told me that you're staying in this room and asked me to take care of you. What happened to you? Is it serious?" "I had a small car accident." "It's not serious. I've already had a checkup. It's just some abrasions. I'll be fine soon. Maybe I'll be discharged in the afternoon. Don't worry." Baiya turned around to show that she was really fine. "It's good that you're fine. Do you know what this is?" Lu Shuang took out a recording pen from his bag. Chapter 44. Lu Shuang pressed the switch. "Brother Jiran, are you coming? I want it so much. Little vixen, I can't feed you enough. Where do you want it?" "Here. Brother Jiran is so mean. Don't do this." Baiya lowered her eyes. This was the recording she had heard the other day. Hearing it again, her heart didn't waver. Lu Shuang turned off the recording. "How is it? Is it fun? There's enough evidence of Su Jiran cheating, the court will definitely divorce you." "I hope so. Lu Shuang, help me pass these to the lawyer. I want to end this quickly," Baiya said resolutely. "Don't worry, I'll get it done this afternoon." Outside the door, Su Jiran stood there coldly with a bouquet of roses in his hand, his bloodshot eyes glinting maliciously. Did she want a divorce that badly? She had even found the evidence. How could he let her get what she wanted? He wouldn't let her go until he was tired of her. Strangely, there was a strange sourness in his heart that made him feel uncomfortable. He threw the flowers into the bin and walked to the dark corner of the corridor to make a call. A moment later, Lu Shuang picked up the phone. After answering, she said to Baiya helplessly, "The chief of obstetrics and gynecology said there's an emergency surgery, and there's a lack of manpower now. She asked me to go back." I'll come back to accompany you later. Okay, go, I'm fine. Lu Shuang turned and left in a hurry. Baya picked up a Russian book that Gu Lingqing had placed on the bedside table and flipped through it casually. The book was filled with notes. His handwriting was as smooth as flowing water, penetrating the back of the paper. Just like his looks, he was good-looking. There was a shadow in front of her. Baya had a bad feeling and looked up. She saw Su Jiran and was subconsciously afraid. She asked in a shrill voice, "What are you doing here?" Su Jiran's lips curled up devilishly. "You're my wife, of course I have to come." He snatched the book from her hands, his gaze sharp. "Give it back to me." Baya quickly tried to snatch it back. He was too tall, she couldn't reach him at all. Instead, she almost tore her wound open. "Su Jiran, this doesn't belong to me." "I want to return it," said Baya sternly. He smiled, but his eyes were cold. "I know. You must be Gu Lingqing." He strode to the window, opened it, and threw the book out of the window. "What are you doing?" Baya ran to the window barefoot. When she saw the book fall into the pond, she was instantly enraged. "That's not yours. Aren't you being too overbearing? What about you? Do you belong to me?" Su Jiran asked. "Am I a thing in your eyes? So you can destroy them without mercy?" Baya was so angry that she had lost her mind. Su Jiran stared at her cold eyes, and there was an unprecedented panic, as if she was passing away bit by bit, completely leaving his life. He didn't want her to leave his life. Su Jiran's tone softened a little. "I take back what I said about making you wish you were dead. From today onwards, I will try to love you." From today onwards? It was already too late. Her mind was filled with his cruelty and bloodthirst. Baya glared at him and walked quickly to the door. Su Jiran furrowed his brows. She wouldn't pick up that man's things again, would she? However, he was furious, so he followed her out. Baya walked to the edge of the pond and picked up the book without hesitation. Su Jiran stared at her gloomily. She immediately hid the book behind her, as if she was protecting it with her life. "If you have an affair with Gu Lingqing, his political future will be gone," Su Jiran warned. She wouldn't have an affair with Gu Lingqing. Soon, she would regain her freedom and start a formal relationship with him from a friend. She walked forward. "Even if you get a divorce, his family won't accept a woman like you." "Baya, wake up." Su Jiran raised his voice. At the mention of the word divorce, his heart was filled with panic. Baya looked down and ignored him. Su Jiran walked over quickly and grabbed her arm. "You can only have the life you want if you start over with me. I can give you everything you want. You are no longer in the life I want." Baya's eyes were red, and she desperately shook his hand. She didn't plan for him in her life. He didn't understand why a woman's feelings could disappear so quickly. He tightened his grip on her hand and asked suspiciously, "Have you ever loved me? Whether I love you or not, does it make any difference to our future? We can't talk about this anymore with our current relationship," Baya said coldly. "In your eyes, what is our relationship?" "I would rather have never known you," Baya said resolutely. Now, she might only have hatred left for him. "Then I should leave a mark on your body so that you will never forget me," Su Jiran said coldly. Baya saw the danger in his eyes and struggled to get away. Instead, he held her tightly and put his hand into her loose hospital gown. His big palm was separated by her SpongeBob SquarePants, but it didn't seem to be enough. He followed the strap of her gown and wanted to unbutton the button on her back. Baya flew into a rage out of humiliation. She slapped him. Su Jiran turned his face and looked at her. His eyes were as red as blood and he had lost all rationality. He tore off her gown with brute force. The buttons fell off and he hugged her waist tightly. Baya felt the swollen thing in his abdomen pressing against her tightly. She was trembling in fear. "Su Jiran, let go of me. Don't make me hate you. Hate. It's better than being a stranger. I don't mind if you hate me, Su Jiran said cruelly. Baya saw him zipping up, in broad daylight, in front of a crowd. She kicked at Su Jiran's underling. It hit. Su Jiran bent over in pain. The murderous look in his eyes was very strong, as if he wanted to tear Baya into pieces. Baya ran with all her might and did not give herself a chance to breathe. She returned to the ward and locked the door. She felt that it was not safe, so she pushed the cabinet, the table, and the bed against the door. Baya, open the door. Su Jiran was completely furious. Every time he hit the door, it was as if he was going to kick the door open. Bang, bang, bang. The sound fell on her heart one by one. She hid on the bed, her body trembling, and her hand clutching Gu Lingqing's book tightly. She wanted to ask him for help. However, it was his working hours now. She couldn't. She had to endure it, endure it. I'll count to 3. Open the door. 1. Su Jiran's voice was like that of a demon. If he rushed in, he would not just be strong, he would ruthlessly crush her soul. 2. The voice on the other side of the door was rough and full of anger. Baya was scared, really scared. She did not want to have anything to do with Su Jiran. Chapter 45. Gu Lingqing was on the way to the island. When he saw it was Baya, he immediately picked up. Gu Lingqing, Baya shouted. She seemed to see the window that led to the light open in the darkness. She couldn't hold it in. She shed tears. Gu Lingqing could tell something was wrong with Baya. His heart tightened. He asked softly, "What's wrong? Can you come now?" Baya begged. She wanted to see him. She really, really wanted to see him. Gu Lingqing frowned. His gaze was deep and complicated. There was a show on Sung Lang Island today. He promised to watch it. Military orders must be obeyed. He had always been strict with himself. However, he was more concerned about Baya. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing ordered. But Sung Lang has already left. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't understand. I'll come back and watch the whole thing. Don't talk nonsense. Go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing said firmly. The car was on the way to the hospital. Baya put down her phone. Her heart was filled with hope. 3. Su Jiran shouted the last number. He picked up the fire extinguisher next to him and smashed it on the glass. The glass shattered. It was as if her life was shattered. He reached in and turned the doorknob. Baya got down from the bed and looked at Su Jiran cautiously. Su Jiran kicked away the cabinet that was blocking his way. His whole body was shrouded in an aura of death. Baya unconsciously retreated to the wall. There was no way out. No, Baya said while crying. She looked like she was about to wither. She didn't feel a trace of fear when she faced the gangsters. Su Jiran was 100 times more powerful than those gangsters. Her tears softened his heart. You almost crippled me. How are you going to make it up to me? Su Jiran asked coldly. Su Jiran, there are many women who are willing to provide their bodies to you. Don't force me. Baya clenched his fists quietly. Come home with me. I'll count to 3. If you promise me now, I won't touch you. After 3, I'll take you right now. Su Jiran warned. Baya looked at the door. She really hoped that Gu Lingqing would rush over to save him. 1. Baya, I will never divorce you. You can only be my, Su Jiran's, wife for the rest of your life. Don't even think about liking someone else. 2. There was always a woman living in Gu Lingqing's heart, and this woman would come back soon. You're just a peanut to relieve his boredom. Baya was surprised. Her gaze shifted from the door to Su Jiran's face. She just realized that she didn't seem to understand Gu Lingqing at all. It's almost 3. Baya, you can't wait for me to have sex with you? Su Jiran said evilly. He placed his hand on the side of Baya's face so that she couldn't retreat. Baya's phone rang. Her hope was ignited. Su Jiran saw the caller ID of Lu Shuang and smiled coquettishly. Pick it up. Baya answered the phone defensively. Xiao Bai, I'm sorry. I locked the recording in the drawer, but the drawer was pried open. The information is gone, Lu Shuang said guiltily. Baya paused and shrugged her shoulders helplessly. No matter how stupid she was, she understood that it must be Su Jiran's doing. She couldn't get a divorce. Gu Lingqing could save her once, twice, thrice, or even 4 times. I'll go home with you, Baya said in despair. Su Jiran smiled coquettishly with satisfaction. He hugged her waist and moved closer to her face lovingly. Don't worry, I'll definitely make you lie on my bed willingly. I also believe that you'll fall in love with the feeling of me having sex with you. Baya didn't move. She seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life, empty and desperate. She sent a text to Gu Lingqing. I'm fine now. I can leave the hospital normally. Don't worry. You don't have to come over. Thank you. Sorry for bothering you. After sending the text, she wanted to cry. But she couldn't even cry. She only felt bitter in her heart. She didn't do anything wrong. Why did she have to provoke a demon like Su Jiran? She didn't understand. She didn't understand why God treated her like this. She wrote another text to Lu Shuang. I'm going home with Su Jiran now. Let's talk later. Lu Shuang called her immediately. Su Jiran snatched the phone. When he saw that it was Lu Shuang's, he returned it to Baya. Baya picked up the call. Xiao Bai, your brain must have been squeezed by a door. Now you're going home with Su Jiran. Don't be afraid. I'll find more evidence for you, Lu Shuang shouted. Su Jiran snatched the phone again. I've already transferred the 200,000 back to your account. You'd better not interfere with the matter between me and Baya. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. You'd better not cheat. Otherwise, it'll be very easy to get evidence, Lu Shuang shouted. She had never lost a quarrel before. Su Jiran smiled maliciously and hung up. Gu Lingqing called him. Hatred flashed across Su Jiran's eyes. He picked up the call. Are you all right? Gu Lingqing's voice was filled with deep concern. Su Jiran pressed the play button and passed the phone to Baya. Baya didn't dare to pick up Gu Lingqing's call. She was afraid that Su Jiran would play dirty tricks. Su Jiran's eyes became fierce. He signaled her to pick up the call. Baya held the phone tightly and put it to her ear. What happened? Why didn't you say anything? I'll be there in an hour. Gu Lingqing's voice became softer. 1 hour. It was too late. I'm okay. I saw a mouse just now. I'm afraid of mice and snakes. The doctor said that I'm recovering well. I'll be discharged now. She found a reasonable explanation for her crying just now. But when she heard his voice, she wanted to cry again. It's good that you're okay. I've already applied for the Good Citizen Award that I told you about last time. Don't worry about your mother. I'll arrange it. Go to Provence and have fun during this period. Gu Lingqing said softly. There were ripples in Baya's heart. She just said it and he did it. Unfortunately, she didn't deserve such a man. Su Jiran hung up the phone. He's considerate. Are you touched? What do you think? Baya asked back. There was no hidden sadness in her eyes. Su Jiran's eyes narrowed. I refuse. I, Su Jiran's wife, don't need to accept gifts from other men. Doesn't your mother want to see me? I have time to arrange it. Let's go back. I'm a little tired. Baiya said tiredly. The more Gu Lingqing thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. According to Baiya's character, she might be afraid when she saw mice and snakes, but she would never cry. Something must have happened to her. Lieutenant Colonel Shang's phone rang. He answered the phone and said urgently, "Chief, bad news. There's a major accident on the island." Zhang Lang caused an explosion as soon as it went up. There were a total of 13 team members. 5 of them escaped safely. 8 of them were injured to different degrees. The leader, number 108, suffered the most serious injuries. Both of his legs were blown off. Send them to the military hospital immediately. I'll go there now. Gu Lingqing ordered urgently. Chapter 46. Gu Lingqing stepped onto the island. The injured had already been evacuated. There were many holes on the island, and there was black residue from the medicine. The air was very turbid. Gu Lingqing's sharp eyes swept over the scene, and a trace of hatred and killing flashed across his cold eyes. He ordered coldly, "There are not many people selling chain mines in a country. Within 24 hours, I want to find all the sellers and buyers." "Yes," Lieutenant Colonel Shang replied fearfully. At Su Jiran's villa. Baiya stood behind him, watching as he keyed in the password, 199203116. She used to think that he was using her birthday as the password, and she was touched. So, Xing Jinyan had the same birthday as her. "Jiran, you're back." Xing Jinyan stood at the door, tilting her head and calling out sweetly. Baiya looked at Xing Jinyan coldly. She was wearing an extremely short skirt, and if she bent down, her panties could be seen. Her fishnet stockings with holes accentuated her snow-white skin. Baiya's lips twitched. Was the governor's daughter out for sale? Xing Jinyan saw Baiya behind Su Jiran and was stunned. She smiled sweetly. "Sister, you're here too." Baiya ignored her and walked in. There was a bottle of red wine, 2 goblets, a fruit salad, 2 steaks, and an elaborately prepared heart-shaped foie gras on the table. Baiya really didn't know why Su Jiran brought her here. "Should I not be here?" Xing Jinyan asked Su Jiran softly. Su Jiran smiled devilishly as he sized up her voluptuous figure. He didn't answer her question. "Your outfit is not bad, it's very pretty." "Really? As long as you like it, it's fine." "You must be hungry, let's eat. I specially made this today." Xing Jinyan held onto Su Jiran's arm. Baiya walked towards the room. "Baiya, let's eat together. Have a taste of Xiaoyan's cooking. She's quite virtuous." Su Jiran stopped Baiya. Baiya stopped and looked at the air coldly. His eyes became more and more desolate. Even if she didn't mention it, she wouldn't feel the pain anymore. What kind of attitude did he have when she cooked for him last week? Other people's cooking was virtuous, but her cooking was disgusting. Then she'd better not discuss them. "No, take your time. I'm not hungry." She walked away without looking back and pushed the door open. The wedding photo on the wall was replaced by Xing Jinyan's personal portrait. On the bedside table was a photo of Xing Jinyan and Su Jiran. What was even more ironic was that in her wedding room, there was a set of clothes that Xing Jinyan had changed out of, as well as a box of necessities that she had bought for the two of them to make love. There was no longer a place for her in this place. She is not a narcissistic person. She didn't think that Su Jiran refused to divorce her because he loved her. He brought her here just to humiliate her. Baiya turned around and faced Su Jiran. "I've finished admiring the world of the two of you. Can I leave now?" Su Jiran pulled out a chair. "Come here and sit down. I don't need to repeat myself. You can't afford to offend me." Sujiran, what more do you want? Baiya was already annoyed. What do I think I want? Sujiran looked at her warningly. Don't disobey me again. Baiya sat down in front of the dining table patiently. She wanted to see how disgusting they could be. Luckily, I prepared a few more steaks. Sister, wait for 3 minutes. Xing Jinyan smiled and went into the kitchen. She mixed a layer of salt and chili on the ready-made steaks. She didn't even put them on the pot to cook. Instead, she put them on a plate and brought them to Baiya. Sister, eat more. If it's not enough, I can make more, she said sweetly and sat next to Sujiran, acting like the hostess of the house. Baiya lowered her eyes. Her long eyelashes covered the window of her soul. Sujiran scrutinized Baiya's expression. He wanted to see her jealous and angry. Even if it was tit for tat. But she didn't. He couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Xing Jinyan looked at Sujiran and her gaze fell on Baiya. How could she allow the man she liked to look at other women? She reached out to Sujiran's knee and slowly moved it up. Her other hand stabbed a banana. This is my favorite. Sujiran indulged Xing Jinyan. Eat more if you like it. Xing Jinyan became even more charming. Sister, I forgot to bring vinegar. Can you help me check if there's any vinegar in the kitchen? Baiya stood up expressionlessly and walked into the kitchen. Xing Jinyan immediately kissed Sujiran on the cheek. Jiran, I want it while you're not here. Sujiran never rejected passionate beauties. He kissed her, but his eyes were fixed on the kitchen. Baiya saw what they were doing from the window. Her stomach hurt. She didn't know if it was because she was hungry or because she was disgusted. She poured some water and stood by the window, looking at the scenery outside. If they had more time, Xing Jinyan would help Sujiran solve his physiological problems and she would be safer. Sujiran saw that she didn't turn around and was a little annoyed. He let go of Xing Jinyan and shouted to the kitchen, "It's okay if you can't find it. I don't like to be jealous anyway." Baiya sighed. Impatience flashed in her eyes. She turned around and met Xing Jinyan's provocative gaze. Sister, come and eat. It won't taste good when it's cold. Baiya sat down and cut a piece of beef. There was blood on it. She felt a surge of anger in her heart. She had never seen such a disgusting woman. She threw the spoon on the plate. Jiran, I'm scared. Xing Jinyan burrowed into Sujiran's arms. Sujiran saw that Baiya finally had a reaction. His smile widened and he hugged Xing Jinyan's waist. What's wrong with you? Little Nian worked hard to make this. Look at you now. What do I look like? Baiya asked. Her eyes were bloodshot. I'm a shrew, a jealous woman. Our life is hell. Let's end it. Sujiran's face turned cold and scary. You've taken the wrong medicine again. I told you not to disobey me. What do you mean by disobey? Her eyes were filled with moisture. What kind of woman do you want your wife to be? Baiya looked away and wiped the tears that she didn't want to fall. When she loved him, he loved other women. When she didn't love him anymore, he still wanted to control her. This marriage was simply purgatory. You're crying. Sujiran was shocked. There was a strange glint in his eyes. In the past, when he was with other women, she was always arrogant and domineering. Other than not giving him face, she would never cry. He was a little annoyed and let go of Xing Jinyan's waist. Why are you crying? I'll give you my steak. It's already cut. Sujiran placed the steak in front of Baiya. Baiya looked at him. All these years, she had never softened up to him. Her pride wouldn't allow her to bow down to him, who had done something wrong. But she was so tired. She didn't want pride anymore. She wanted relief. Chapter 47. Seeing her tears, Su Jiran's heart tightened and he felt inexplicably uncomfortable. He didn't love Baya. From the first day he met her, he came with a motive. He wanted to get close to Xing Bachuan. What he didn't expect was that Xing Bachuan didn't want to acknowledge her as his daughter at all. He regretted it and didn't want to marry her, so he arranged the kidnapping. She had escaped from the kidnapping and had even been raped. He was furious. She insisted on marrying him. He had married her to torture her. But when she asked for a divorce, he understood how she felt. He didn't want it. He couldn't figure out why, so he was a little depressed. Let's separate for a month. If I'm sure that I don't want you anymore, I'll divorce you. Don't do anything wrong to me in this month. Baya cried tears of joy, as if she had seen the light of hope. She picked up her bag and left, almost as if she was escaping from him. Xing Jinyan smiled smugly. Baya finally knew what was good for her. Jiran. Xing Jinyan's hands wandered restlessly on Su Jiran's legs. Sister is leaving, let's continue. Su Jiran wasn't interested at all. Xiao Nian, you can leave first. All right then, I'll leave first. If I didn't know you, I would suspect that you have fallen in love with Baya, Xing Jinyan said deliberately. Su Jiran's eyes sharpened and he pressed her down on the table. If you talk nonsense again, I'll kill you. How could I fall in love with her? Xing Jinyan clung onto Su Jiran and smiled seductively. Sure, I couldn't ask for more. Su Jiran stared at Xing Jinyan coldly, as if he wanted to eat her up. Suddenly, he sneered and said, then I'll do as you wish. He just felt very frustrated and his heart was gloomy. He couldn't sort it out, so he decided not to think about it. Baya contacted Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang asked for leave to open the door for her and asked worriedly, Xiao Bai, what did that bastard Su Jiran do to you? He agreed to separate and we can get a divorce in a month, Baya said with a smile. He finally made the right decision. You can live with me first, in case he takes things too hard and goes to you again. It's not big for me to live alone anyway. Lu Shuang opened the door. Thank you, Shuang. Lu put his arm around Baya's shoulders. Jiu. You, he said. Baya first hung Gu Lingqing's book on the balcony. Lu Shuang leaned against the door frame and stirred her coffee. Once you're done with Su Jiran, you can start with him. I think he's a good guy. Yasu, I should be, bye Lu's, who said, who bye's love. Shouldn't a girl find someone better than her? It doesn't matter if he's worthy or not, the most important thing is to capture his heart first. Lu Shuang took a big sip of coffee. She had to work the night shift today. Baya just smiled faintly and didn't answer Lu Shuang's words. Her cell phone rang. Seeing that it was Gu Lingqing, she hesitated for a moment and decided that it was better to make it clear. She didn't want to be in touch with love right now. She was already riddled with scars and needed time to recover. Baya answered the call. Are you okay? I heard that you've taken 5 days off. I'll arrange for your mother to come out now. I'll have someone send you the plane tickets to Provence later. Someone will receive you when you arrive there. Gu Lingqing said softly. Hearing his voice and feeling his concern, her heart was sour and astringent, and some reluctance flowed in her eyes. However, the better some people were, the more she noticed the distance between them. The less he owed, the better. No, I don't want to go out. My mother is seriously ill now, and it's not suitable for her to go out. I want to invite you to dinner tonight. Are you free? Baya lowered her eyes and said. Well, sure. I'll pick you up. Meet me at the entrance of Sparta Coffee Shop in Water Moon International in an hour. I'll hang up first. Baya hung up the phone in a hurry. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously and said, that soldier, he's a promising young man. Not bad. Just sleep with him today. I'm going to make it clear to him. Baiya said faintly. Make what clear? Don't refuse him. Lu Shuang was anxious. I'm divorced. I was raped 3 years ago. My mother is mentally ill. Do you think his family will accept me? Baiya asked back. As long as you have true love. Why are you feeling inferior? How many women are more beautiful than you? You've been tricked by Su Jiran. Lu Shuang didn't want her to give up. Su Jiran said that we'll be separated for a month. It's fine. I'll be free after a month. I don't want to stimulate Su Jiran's possessiveness. I just want to live a quiet life. Gu Lingqing is a man I can't mess with. Baiya had thought it through very clearly. Forget it. You haven't divorced yet. I won't encourage you. But Xiao Bai, you should think more about yourself. Don't always think about others. You're the one who suffers losses. Lu Shuang felt sorry for her. At least I have a clear conscience. Baiya entered the room and took her bank card. She went to the bank first and withdrew all the money. When she arrived at the entrance of Sparta coffee shop, Gu Lingqing was already inside, sitting by the window. The afterglow of the setting sun fell on his handsome face. He seemed to have a lot on his mind. He lowered his eyes and stirred his coffee subconsciously. He didn't drink it. Instead, he looked up. When he saw her, he put down 100 yuan on the table. He stood up and walked towards her. Are you okay? Are you okay? The two of them said at the same time. Baiya smiled. Even if he wasn't okay, what could she do? It was fine as long as she wasn't a burden. There's a lot of food on the 4th floor. What do you want to eat? Baiya asked. Anything is fine. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He passed her an ointment. I asked a friend to make this. Apply it on the scars. It won't leave a scar. Baiya's eyes darkened. She didn't refuse and accepted the ointment. Soon, they arrived at the 4th floor. Baiya walked into a high-end Western restaurant. Gu Lingqing sat opposite Baiya. If you're worried about your mother's condition, I can ask the medical staff to accompany you. Chief, Baiya greeted him. She couldn't bear his kindness anymore. The way she addressed him made his eyes dim. At first, I wanted to be friends with you. After all, with your status, I can't even fawn over you. But then I thought, what right do I have to be friends with you? Gu Lingqing's face turned cold. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Baiya lowered her head. Cruel words were cruel no matter when they were said. Wasn't it? I want to live a quiet and ordinary life. Chapter 48. Fall in love with her. What right did she have? Baiya was about to explain when she saw a familiar face from the corner of her eyes. It seemed to be Su Jiran's friend, Zhang Zi. He was the one she had tied up at the last party. She didn't want him to see her, lest he went to Su Jiran's place to talk nonsense and cause more trouble. Baiya didn't have much time to think and hid under the table. Gu Lingqing, he frowned in annoyance and lifted the tablecloth. What are you doing? Someone I know is coming over and I don't want him to see me. Baiya explained hurriedly. She saw Zhang Zi walking towards her and pulling the tablecloth. Gu Lingqing's heart was filled with an inexplicable anger, which was slowly growing. Do I embarrass you that much? She wanted to pull the tablecloth down but he didn't let her. Baiya saw that she couldn't pull it down and Zhang Zi was walking over. It was too late to hide. She buried her face in Gu Lingqing's lap. She buried her face in the wrong place. She could clearly feel that something was wrong with him. Chief Gu was too sensitive. She was so upset that her ears turned red. But Zhang Zi walked to Gu Lingqing's side. Hello, Chief Gu. I didn't expect to see you here. My company has dealings with the Gu Corporation. I didn't see you at the last party. Zhang Zi greeted her warmly. Gu Lingqing's face was livid. He didn't even look at Zhang Zi and said coldly, "Get lost." Zhang Zi was also a man with good judgment. He saw a girl squatting on Chief Gu's lap and naturally imagined a scene. He knew that he had spoiled the mood and said apologetically, "Please enjoy your meal." Baiya saw Zhang Zi leave but didn't go far. She sat not far away, holding her phone in her hand. She seemed to be texting something and looked at them from time to time. She suspected that he was gossiping with Su Jiran about this. If she came out at this time and Zhang Zi found out who she was, she would definitely be dead. Baiya did not dare to come out. Gu Lingqing glanced at her, and a sharp light flashed across his deep eyes. He put down the tablecloth and called Lieutenant Colonel Shang. "I am now at the Western restaurant on the 4th floor of Shui Yu International. Clear all the staff in the restaurant in 10 minutes. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing gratefully. He didn't look at her. His entire body exuded a murderous aura, and as time passed, his anger grew stronger and stronger. Lieutenant Colonel Shang brought a platoon of people and quickly cleared out the people in the restaurant. With the restaurant as a circle, they spread out 10 meters. Within 10 meters, no one could get close to the restaurant. He pulled Baiya out and carried her to the table. Baiya had a bad feeling about this. She had never seen him so angry before. He looked like a hungry beast. He lowered his head and fiercely kissed her lips. It was extremely ferocious, swallowing all of her breath, as if it was a punishment. He sucked very hard. Baiya felt a sharp pain in his lips. She didn't want to have any ambiguous relationship with him, so she pushed his shoulders with all her might. The more she pushed him, the more irrational he became. He held her hand and pressed it on the table. Baiya was forced to lie on the table and looked at his bloodshot eyes. Gu Lingqing's chest was heaving up and down violently. He stared at her as if she was his food. "Baiya, let's be together," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He lowered his head and bent her knees. He kissed his way up her knees. Baiya was so scared that her legs were trembling. "Gu Lingqing, we can't do this. I am a married woman, and we won't be together. If you continue to be with me, you will only ruin your future." Baiya tried to wake him up. Gu Lingqing sneered. "Do you think I care about your identity? Aren't you going to get divorced soon? Besides, who told you that I will ruin my future if I stay with you?" Gu Lingqing questioned. "It's not appropriate for us to be like this now. After all, we haven't divorced, have we?" Baiya struggled to get off the table. Gu Lingqing looked at her coldly, and the gloominess in his eyes became deeper and deeper. Since she was so unwilling, it was meaningless for him to force her. Gu Lingqing loosened his hand and said indifferently, "You can go." Baiya paused and stood up from the table. Gu Lingqing sat on the seat and looked at her coldly. Baiya didn't dare to look at him. She lowered her head and said, "I will remember the chief's help for me, and I will pray for you. Get out." Gu Lingqing said coldly, and his voice became more and more indifferent. What he wanted was not her blessing, but her. Baiya took out the money from her bag and put it on the table. "The money for your cosmetics and clothes." After that, she left with her head down. A sharp light flashed across Gu Lingqing's eyes. She really wanted to settle the score with him and make it clear that there was nothing between them. He pushed all the money on the table to the ground. In the next few days, Baiya cancelled her annual leave. Su Jiran seemed to have disappeared, and he didn't call her again. And no other women came to provoke him. The days passed peacefully. Occasionally, she would think of Gu Lingqing, that handsome, noble, and arrogant man. The days with him were enough to be her precious memory, which warmed her for a long time. Friday came, but she didn't go to see her mother. Her mother said that she would bring Su Jiran next time. Where would she find Su Jiran? Baiya called the nurse over there and told her to wash her hair, take a bath, and cut her nails. She didn't dare to go there. Knock, Knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Lu Shuang stood at the door and felt sorry for her. You rejected such a good man, don't you regret it at all? The life now is what I want. Bai stood up calmly and cleaned the table. I think you regret it, Lu Shuang said softly. Bai looked up at Lu Shuang. Because I know that I made the right decision. Let's go, I'll cook for you tonight. Bai took off her white dress, hung it on the clothes rack, and held Lu Shuang's arm. Lu Shuang glanced at Bai and felt that she was unhappy. She wanted to do something for Bai, or at least not miss out on Gu Lingqing. At night, Lu Shuang dragged Bai out to do her hair. She called Gu Lingqing secretly. Gu Lingqing answered. Hello, I'm Bai's friend, Lu Shuang, Lu Shuang said in a low voice. N. Gu Lingqing responded in a deep voice. Let me tell you, my friend is a quiet person. She likes to keep everything in her heart. Do you know why she rejected you? Lu Shuang said. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. Lu Shuang continued, she actually likes you. Do you remember that you have a Russian book with her? That book was thrown into the pond by that scumbag, Su Jiran. She treasured it so much that she dried your book and went around looking for it. She bought a copy of it. Chapter 49. That doesn't prove that she likes me, does it? Or maybe she just thinks that she owes me a Russian book. Gu Lingqing said in a self-deprecating tone. Thinking of the scene where Bai returned him the money, his eyes were cold and desolate. She likes you, I promise. She often holds your Russian book in a daze. Oh yes, she rejected you because she and Su Jiran agreed to live apart for a month. After a month, she can get a divorce. She is afraid that something might happen, so she left you first, Lu Shuang said in a hurry. Gu Lingqing frowned and remained silent. Seeing that Gu Lingqing didn't speak, Lu Shuang couldn't figure out what he was thinking, so he continued, can you take the initiative? Xiao Bai is a very passive person. You'd better force yourself on her or something. Gu Lingqing, would it be useful for him to force himself on her? He was afraid that Bai would hate him to death. Let me tell you, Bai has never slept with her husband. Women also have needs. If you make her feel good, she will definitely be loyal to you. Hee hee. Lu Shuang said with a guilty conscience. If Bai knew that she said that to Gu Lingqing, they might not be friends anymore. Really? Gu Lingqing obviously didn't believe it. Well, I have a blind date tomorrow. I will take Xiao Bai there. It's a masquerade ball. Xiao Bai has changed her hairstyle. I will take a picture and send the address to you. Will you come? Lu Shuang invited. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. Lu Shuang wasn't sure whether he would come or not. I will send you the address. After that, she hung up and sent the address to Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing still didn't reply. Lu Shuang could only go back to the barber shop. She hired the director of the shampoo to cut Bai's hair. Bai's face was small, and her skin was fair. However, she didn't take care of her hair. She didn't do any hair care, let alone dye or perm her hair. The director cut her hair into a bob, softened it, and dyed it chestnut. Her face was even smaller, and her skin was better. She had big eyes, a full face, and half of her forehead was exposed. Every part of her was perfect, not delicate, but charming. Bai was already pretty to begin with, but now she was stunning. Su Jiran really has no taste. He doesn't want such a beauty and is fooling around outside. Lu Shuang took a photo of Bai and sent it to Gu Lingqing. Can we not talk about him? Bai stood up. Fine, let's get rid of this scumbag. We have a better choice. Lu Shuang smiled slyly. She wondered if Chief Gu would go there tomorrow. Sigh. Early the next morning Lu Shuang was putting on makeup for Bai excitedly. Baya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Girl, I'm the one going on the blind date with you, not the other way around. You should put on makeup for yourself, not me. Of course. Lu Shuang was putting on lipstick for Baya. Of course I'll put on makeup for myself, but you're my female companion. If you're not pretty, it'll make me look lowly. Be a good girl and go to my place to pick out some clothes later. Alright. Baya didn't want to be a burden to Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang chose a white bat muslin for her, with a black bra inside. Through the white muslin, one could vaguely see Baya's breasts and slender waist that couldn't be covered. In the past, Baya's clothes were too conservative, and they covered her excellent figure. She really hoped that Chief Gu could be charmed by Baya, and then, he. The more Lu Shuang thought about it, the more excited he became. She was really looking forward to today's blind date party. Baya saw that Lu Shuang had prepared 3 sets of clothes for her, and he had also brought 3 sets for himself, along with a swimsuit. She asked in surprise, "Why did you bring so many clothes? That place is a bit far away. It's by the sea, and we've agreed to go there for 2 days. We'll be staying there tonight, so I can always bring more clothes and put them in the trunk." Lu Shuang explained. Do you have to date for 2 days? Lu Shuang shrugged. My dad's request is probably for me to get the girl on the first try. He's getting old, so he's always anxious. I'll cooperate with him. Oh right, I forgot to tell you that the woman who recorded me last time has gone missing. She probably doesn't dare to offend Su Jiran. Forget it, I'm separated from Su Jiran now anyway, and we'll get divorced in a month. Then you should go for a blind date too, just in case. Lu Shuang instigated. That's not good. Let's go. Baya helped Lu Shuang carry the luggage. The place for the blind date was really far away. It took Lu Shuang 3 hours to arrive. However, the place was very beautiful. A private villa faced the sea. There was a beach outside the villa. There were rows of umbrellas, deck chairs, beautiful women wearing masks and bikinis, and unique straw huts on the beach. There were many luxury cars parked in the parking lot of the villa. Baya got out of the car, and the sea breeze blew on her face and her hair fluttered. The air was fresh and refreshing, making people feel refreshed. Lu Shuang glanced at the beach. Because everyone was wearing masks, she really couldn't recognize which one was Gu Lingqing. She wondered if Gu Lingqing was here. She pulled Baya to walk to the beach. 2 bodyguards stopped them and said expressionlessly, "Young Master Shin said that people who come here have to sign in first and arrange rooms." Oh, got it. Got it. Lu Shuang followed the bodyguards to the villa to sign in first. Before entering the villa, they went into a small room, where there were 6 tall bodyguards. Lu Shuang signed his name. The bodyguards checked the name list and made sure that Lu Shuang was there. Then they gave him the room card and the chest card and let him in. Lu Shuang was a little worried. If it was a real name system, could Gu Lingqing come in? Let's go to the room and have a look. Lu Shuang sighed and said. The bodyguards opened the door. The curtains inside were drawn, and it was a little dark. The living room was carefully decorated, like a bar. There was a bar, neon lights, rotating lights, flashing lights, a high platform, a stereo, wine, music, women, handsome men, and so on. Baya and Lu Shuang put down their luggage and came to the living room. They chose a corner. Baya looked at the high platform. A woman wearing a mask was singing, and there was a number on her body. It was number 05. Her voice was sweet, and there were a lot of people listening to her. Why are there so many people on this blind date? Are you sure you're not in the wrong place? I feel like it's a talent show. Baya was suspicious. Lu Shuang shrugged. Who knows? Dad asked me to come. I guess all the unmarried people in the circle are here. Let's have a look and broaden our horizons. Anyway, we won't lose anything. Okay. Baya answered casually. The bodyguards pushed the door open. A man wearing a wolf mask came in. He was wearing an Italian hand-cut black suit, which outlined his tall and straight figure. He had broad shoulders and a narrow waist, which made him look very imposing. Chapter 50. After number 5 finished singing, a new girl went up to sing. Do you want to sing? Baya asked Lu Shuang. Let's see what's going on first, Lu Shuang said rationally. He listened to the song while eating sunflower seeds. Her figure is not good enough. She hasn't fully developed yet. Who is she? Number 10, who was sitting in front of Lu Shuang, asked the man next to him. I'm not sure. They can bring anyone they want. I don't know some of them. I've never seen them before, Shen Yan said lazily. She turned around and looked at Lu Shuang, curling her lips. Lu Shuang glanced at Shen Yan. What are you laughing at? Why do I feel that this person's voice is so familiar? Why isn't there anyone with a good figure? How can someone like this come? It's an insult to my eyes, number 10 said in disdain. Lu Shuang felt that it was meaningless. Xiao Bai, let's go to the beach. Lu Shuang pulled Baya away. She walked too fast and didn't notice the chef coming over with the dishes. She almost bumped into Baya. The man in the wolf mask was quick enough to pull Baya's arm. Lu Shuang didn't know what was going on. He turned around and saw Baya bumping into the arms of the man in the wolf mask. Watch where you are going. Why are you so reckless? The man in the wolf mask said in a low voice. His tone was strong, domineering, sharp, and cold. It sounded like Gu Lingqing. Baya's back stiffened. She looked at him in surprise. Her heart was beating very fast. She was probably crazy. Her heart palpitated when she heard the voice that sounded like Gu Lingqing's. Why would Gu Lingqing attend this kind of blind date? Xiao Bai, are you okay? Lu Shuang pulled Baya over. Baya shook her head. I'm fine. Lu Shuang glanced at the man in the wolf mask. My friend is Gu Lingqing's woman. Don't even think about her. Baya's face turned red. Fortunately, it was hidden behind the mask. When did she become Gu Lingqing's woman? Because it was too embarrassing, she quickly walked out of the villa. The beach was filled with cheers. A new limited edition Maserati was parked in the middle of the roses. The roses were arranged in the shape of a heart. 2 red ribbons were tied to the rear-view mirror, fluttering in the sea breeze. It was very romantic. Lu Shuang dragged Baya over to watch the fun. Su Jiran got out of the car with a devilish smile on his face. He held a heart-shaped balloon in his hand and a Maserati's car key dangling below it as he walked towards Xing Jinyan in the crowd. Wow, this man is so handsome. The crowd was in an uproar. The girls looked at Xing Jinyan enviously. I went to America to buy a car for you. You're so naughty. I heard that you came for a blind date as soon as I came back. Are you trying to piss me off? Su Jiran said, but his tone was doting. Xing Jinyan took the balloon from Su Jiran shyly. It was a custom-made Maserati. It had to be worth at least 3 million. I'm here to accompany my friend, Xing Jinyan explained. Su Jiran lifted her chin. He didn't care about the crowd. He lowered his head and kissed Xing Jinyan's lips. Cheers rang out from the surroundings. Lu Shuang was so angry that he gritted his teeth. What does Su Jiran mean? He's someone else's husband, but he's trying to please another woman. This beast is too playful. He's willing to spend a few million. How come I've never seen him be so generous to you? Baya smiled. She was calmer than he had imagined. Seeing how sweet they were, she should be able to get a divorce soon. Lu Shuang walked to the side and called Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing answered the call. Chief, are you here? Baiya is being bullied, Lu Shuang said pitifully. I saw it. Don't worry, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. He saw it. Could it be that he was here? Lu Shuang looked around excitedly. She saw that the man in the wolf mask was also on the phone. She ran towards him and stood in front of him. Chief Gu, Lu Shuang said carefully. Yes, Gu Lingqing answered in a deep voice. Great, you're really here. I'll bring Baiya back to our room. We live in room 3022. You can have a good chat with her. Baiya likes you. Hee, I'm leaving now, Lu Shuang said happily. She ran away and pulled Baiya back to their room. What's wrong, Shuangniu? Baiya didn't understand why she was so excited. What are you doing here? You're insulting our eyes. Let's go back to our room. I have a gift for you. Lu Shuang pulled Baiya back to their room. What is it? Baiya was getting more and more curious. Take a shower first. You'll know after the shower. Lu Shuang pushed Baiya into the bathroom and turned on the tap for Baiya. What gift must I take a shower? Baiya didn't understand. You're so long-winded. Do you think I'll harm you? Lu Shuang patted his chest. Baiya took off her clothes. Lu Shuang carried her clothes and left. Why did you take my clothes? I'll bring them in later. Lu Shuang didn't even turn his head. Baiya felt it was strange. After she took a shower, she didn't see Lu Shuang bring her clothes in. Shuangniu, Baiya shouted. No one answered her. Baiya was confused. She walked out of the bathroom with a towel around her. She saw the man in the wolf mask sitting on the sofa. She was shocked. Who are you? Why are you in my room? Before Gu Lingqing could say anything, Lu Shuang opened the door and popped his head out. He said with a smile, he's the man I found. He's my gift to you. Little Bai, Su Jiran has found another woman. You should find a man too. Otherwise, you'll lose out. Baiya, you little girl, what are you talking about? Baiya chased after Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang closed the door and went in with a mop. Baiya tried to open the door, but it didn't open. She felt as if she was killed by her friend. Shuangniu, open the door. Open the door. Baiya knocked on the door. Lu Shuang ignored her. Baiya was speechless. She turned around and looked at the man in the wolf mask. The man in the wolf mask was calm. He looked at her deeply and didn't do anything else. My friend is just playing a prank. You don't have to worry about it. Baiya said apologetically. Gu Lingqing stood up and walked towards her. Baiya stepped back subconsciously. Her back touched the cold door. Gu Lingqing reached out and placed his hand on the side of her head. I don't believe that you can't guess who I am. Baiya's heart skipped a beat. Her hands were trembling violently. She moved closer to Gu Lingqing's mask and lifted it. It really was. Gu Lingqing. Why are you here? Baiya asked in surprise. What do you think? Gu Lingqing asked in return. He looked at her with a burning gaze. Her face was clearly reflected in his deep eyes. Baiya thought about it and felt that Lu Shuang's behavior was abnormal. Did Shuangniu ask you to come? Gu Lingqing lifted her chin. His breath fell on her face. Baiya's heart was beating so fast that it seemed like it was going to jump out of her throat. Chapter 51. He slowly moved closer to her lips. Baiya was flustered. She pushed his hand away and walked out from his arms. She felt very uncomfortable. She covered the towel tied around her chest. Her mind seemed to be in a knot, and she didn't know what to say. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything either. He looked at her uneasy back view. I want to change my clothes, you. Baya turned around. He was already standing behind her. She was shocked. She took a step back and sat on the bed. Gu Lingqing moved closer to her. Baya pushed against his chest with both hands. Her palms could feel the frequency of his heartbeat, and her fingertips were trembling. What? It's not like I haven't seen it before. Do you want me to help you put it on? He asked. His tone was ambiguous, and his gaze was sharp. The pressure was too strong. I didn't mean that, Baya said anxiously. Her face was red. You didn't mean that? Gu Lingqing asked. It's my friend's prank. Even if my husband is looking for women outside, I don't want to find a man to take revenge on him. Before Baya could finish, Gu Lingqing kissed her. The kiss was very strong and domineering. Baya moved back. He pressed her down on the bed and pressed her shoulders. Baya couldn't move. She could only purse her lips. Gu Lingqing frowned. He didn't like her resistance. His large palm moved up her legs. Baya realized what he was going to do. She pushed his hand away. He held her hand with one hand and pressed it down on top of her head. Don't. Like this. Before Baya could say the last two words, he had already entered her mouth and wrapped his tongue around hers. She wanted to push him out. She stared at the tip of his tongue. He sucked her into his mouth. Baya wanted to pull out. She focused on the top and didn't have time to be distracted. Until a stronger electric current came from her spinal cord and rushed to her brain, occupying her thoughts. He actually, Baya found it hard to speak. Aside from that strange man 3 years ago, he was the first person who had touched her. The feeling was unfamiliar, but it had an indescribable surge of emotions. After all, she was already 24 years old, not 14. She was very sensitive. She tried to push his hand away, but she could not move. She wanted to ask him to hold on, but he blocked her lips. Baya wanted to hide, but he couldn't. Instead, he became more and more aroused. Is this our room? Who's playing a prank, sticking a mop on the door? Xing Jinyan's sweet voice drifted in. Baya widened his eyes. How could it be Xing Jinyan's voice? This room belonged to her and Lu Shuang. When did it become Xing Jinyan's? If they saw her and Gu Lingqing like this, she didn't even dare to think about it. Baya struggled and heard the sound of the mop being pulled out. Beep, beep, beep. The door opened. Su Jiran pushed the door open and came in. Baya hid under the bed, not daring to move or breathe. Xing Jinyan kissed Su Jiran eagerly. The two of them threw themselves on the bed. Baya felt the bed shake. Xing Jinyan and Su Jiran's clothes were thrown on the floor, including their underwear. Xing Jinyan was good at moaning. That voice, Baya's face was red. What was going on? She hid under the bed, watching her husband and her sister, Diawan. If she was alone, she would have treated it as a free performance. The problem was, Gu Lingqing was still there. She felt extremely embarrassed. Jiaran, when are you divorcing my sister? Xing Jinyan asked, panting. Su Jiran slapped Xing Jinyan's butt and changed the topic. He said in a hoarse voice, Fox, change positions. If you and my sister didn't divorce, what are we doing now? Xing Jinyan said coquettishly. Tell me, what are we doing now? Are you unhappy? Baya felt the bed shake even more and bit her fingers awkwardly. Unjustifiable, Xing Jinyan was a little unwilling. Baya is my wife and we haven't slept together yet. The more you are not my wife, the more impulsive you are, don't you think? Su Jiran said evilly. Baya felt embarrassed and didn't dare to look at Gu Lingqing. He clamped down on her chin so that she was facing him. Baya met his eyes, which were full of lust, and her heart skipped a beat. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. He had heard from Lu Shuang that she and Su Jiran hadn't slept together. However, after hearing Su Jiran's confirmation, he was even more moved. Baya felt his breath enter her organs. She was trembling, but she couldn't make a sound or push him away. Su Jiran and Xing Jinyan's voices became louder and louder. It was so hot under the bed that she couldn't think. Gu Lingqing lifted her right leg and placed it on his waist. His large palms slid up her thighs. Baya felt a white light flash past her eyes. An unprecedented feeling flowed through his senses, surging violently. Luckily, he covered her lips. Otherwise, she would have screamed. Although she had never experienced it, she knew what it was like. Baya was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. She didn't expect that she would be like this with Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing seemed to have noticed her reaction. He didn't go any further. He just held her waist, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her earlobe. Baya was soft. She hadn't recovered yet, so she let Gu Lingqing kiss her. "Hey, where's the mop?" Lu Shuang's voice came in. Baya was shocked and pushed Gu Lingqing away. "Push me away if you're comfortable," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. "Lu Shuang is here," Baya explained. After saying that, she wanted to bite her tongue off. The other meaning of her words was that if Lu Shuang hadn't come, she would have made him comfortable. She was definitely crazy. She was crazy. Baya buried her face in his arms and pretended to be dead. Beep, beep, beep. Lu Shuang opened the door and looked at Su Jiran and Xing Jinyan on the bed in shock. She went out and looked at the room number again. There was no mistake. How did Baya and Gu Lingqing become Su Jiran and Xing Jinyan? She must have opened her eyes in the wrong way. "Get out." Su Jiran hadn't gotten over it yet. He was very annoyed and threw a pillow at Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang was hot-tempered. He opened the pillow and said, "You should be the ones going out. This is my room." Xing Jinyan hugged the quilt and said, "Who said it's yours?" "It's obviously ours, okay? Hurry up and get out." Lu Shuang was furious when he saw Xing Jinyan. "You shameless B***tch, how can you ask me to get out? The man you're using is not yours yet. Who are you calling shameless?" Xing Jinyan said angrily, "Jiran and Baya are getting a divorce. I'm Jiran's future wife." Chapter 52. Su Jiran strode over, grabbed Lu Shuang's phone, and glared at Lu Shuang with a livid face. "Xiaonian, get dressed, let's leave." "Why?" Xing Jinyan was unwilling to give up. "Just do it," Su Jiran said in a low voice, and a malicious look flashed across his eyes as he looked at Lu Shuang, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Lu Shuang felt a chill invading her. She patted her head. She was so stupid. She should have taken the photos secretly. But where did Xiao Bai and the chief go? Su Jiran picked up the clothes on the ground. Baya was trembling in fear, afraid that Su Jiran would see her when he picked up the clothes on the ground. Luckily, he didn't see her and walked out of the door. "Give me back my phone," Lu Shuang said angrily. Su Jiran was sure that she didn't take any photos, so he threw the phone to Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang called Baya. Baya's phone rang. Lu Shuang saw that Baya's phone was on the coffee table, but there was no one in the room. She hung up the phone, closed the door, and walked out. She remembered that she could call Gu Lingqing. Lu Shuang called Gu Lingqing's phone. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. If Lu Shuang came in at this time, Baya had the urge to dig a hole in the ground. She got up from the ground and ran into the washroom. Gu Lingqing answered the phone. "Chief, have you seen Xiao Bai?" Lu Shuang asked with concern. "Yes," Gu Lingqing answered. "Where is she?" "I don't see her in the room." Lu Shuang was confused. "She's with me." "We'll leave first," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. "Leave?" Okay, okay. Hurry up and do it with her. Su Jiran, that be *tch, has already painted Xiaobai green, Lu Shuang instigated. N. Gu Lingqing responded in a deep voice. That voice was like a bell, deep, hoarse, and full of masculine charm. Lu Shuang's heart was beating fast. Then I won't bother you anymore. Good luck, good luck. She hung up the phone excitedly. Lu Shuang, long time no see. A man wearing a fox mask stood in front of her. Lu Shuang frowned. He could tell that the voice belonged to the person who had been sitting next to number 10. Who are you? Lu Shuang asked suspiciously. Shen Yan took off his mask. A roguish smile appeared on his beautiful face. 3 parts good, 3 parts evil, 3 parts bad, and 1 part unfathomable. Lu Shuang recognized him. Shen Yan. Her nightmare when she was young. The son of the current president, the crown prince. His father had been promoted and moved out of their neighborhood. She thought that she would never see him again. She was happy for a few days because of that. It was not a good thing to see him again. Sorry, you got the wrong person. Lu Shuang walked past him. Shen Yan smiled. Don't worry, as long as I didn't get the wrong person. Lu Shuang pretended not to hear it. He had a bad feeling and ran away immediately. Baya ran into the washroom. She remembered that her clothes were still outside. She secretly opened the door a little and saw a tall figure. The door was opened by Gu Lingqing. Baya was speechless. He stood straight in front of her. Baya lowered her head and did not dare to look at him. Aren't you childish? Gu Lingqing asked. My clothes are still outside. Baya said softly. She thought about what they did under the bed just now and felt very weak. Come out and get it. Gu Lingqing said in a commanding tone. Baya took out her luggage and took her clothes out. She rushed into the bathroom with them. Gu Lingqing picked up the underwear she dropped on the floor and knocked on the door. Baya was looking for the underwear. She remembered that she took it. She opened the door. Gu Lingqing passed the underwear to her. Her face was hot as if it was going to burn. She took his NEI pants and locked the door. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was very red. Baya splashed water on her face and took a deep breath. What was she and Gu Lingqing now? More than friends but not lovers. She calmed her racing heart, got dressed and went out. Gu Lingqing put away the cigarette, got up and went into the bathroom. He turned on the tap and washed his hands. She inadvertently glanced at his hand. His hands were very beautiful. The bureau chief's hands were wide, slender, and looked very strong. She remembered that he didn't go in. Why did she? What are you thinking about? Let's go, Gu Lingqing said. Baya came back to her senses. Where are we going? Su Jiran and Xing Jinyan are here. Do you think it's suitable for you to stay? Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. It seems so. I'll ask Shuang Niu to go with me. Baya walked towards the door. Doesn't she want to go on a blind date? Gu Lingqing held her arm. Then, I'll say hi to her. Gu Lingqing picked up her mask from the coffee table and put it on her. I've told her. Do me a favor. Huh? Gu Lingqing's thoughts changed too quickly. She didn't react in time. There was an accident during Blue Wolf's maneuver. Number 108's legs were blown off. I'm going to visit him today. His wife has just gotten pregnant. I need an obstetrician and gynecologist. Please help me, Gu Lingqing said as he put on his mask. He said it as if it was the truth. She owed him a lot. If he needed help, she wouldn't reject him. Baya followed behind Gu Lingqing and got into his car. He drove away. She took off her mask and looked out of the window. The sea was still as calm as ever. Facing the sea, it was as if she was tiny, let alone her troubles. Fortunately, she would end things with Su Jiran soon. Did it feel good just now? Gu Lingqing asked, her face strangely red. Baya, she tugged on her seatbelt. It was obviously against her will to say that it was uncomfortable. They had already done it, how could it be uncomfortable? She said that it was comfortable, but it seemed to be an invitation. Well, will you be criticized for the accident? Baya changed the topic. I'll keep this matter under wraps for now. I'll catch the mastermind within a week, Gu Lingqing replied. Okay, Baya replied and breathed a sigh of relief. Gu Lingqing looked at her, held her hand, and held it in his palm. You're my woman now. You know what to do when you see Su Jiran in the future, right? When did she become his woman? Baya pulled her hand out, lowered her head, and said softly, I haven't divorced him yet. Your relationship with Su Jiran only exists in name. I'll help you get a divorce after I deal with the mastermind. 1 month is too long, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Baya didn't want to start a new relationship. She wanted some time to adjust herself. I just want to work well for now, Baya said her thoughts. Chapter 53. Baya was also a little annoyed. He was too overbearing and didn't even ask for her permission. When did I belong to you? We didn't do that. She was embarrassed to say it out loud and her voice became softer. His soft and gentle voice sounded like he was dissatisfied with his desire in some people's ears. Gu Lingqing pulled over and stopped the car. You want that, right? He frowned and asked helplessly. He carried her up from the seat and sat her on his lap. Baya was completely stunned. He held her hand and pressed it under his body. Baya was so scared that she wanted to pull her hand out. He held her hand even tighter. You're a little anxious. We're on the road now. Can't we wait until we reach our destination? Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. No, I didn't mean that. I mean, I don't want that. I don't want it. No, I don't want it. Baya was speechless. No, I didn't mean it that way. I mean, I don't want it. I don't want it. Gu Lingqing saw that she was so nervous that she was incoherent. He found it quite cute and smiled. It was rare for Baya to see him smile. She was stunned. He pressed the back of her head and brought it in front of his face. He kissed her lips. Her lips were very soft, like cotton candy. Baya was so scared that she twisted her waist and wanted to leave. Gu Lingqing pressed her back and pressed it in front of him. Baya twisted and touched him. She moaned and didn't dare to move. He let go of her lips and kissed her deeply along the beautiful line of her neck. She didn't know if the temperature was contagious. Baya also felt hot. Her mind recalled the feeling under the bed and she couldn't think. Gu Lingqing's breathing became heavier. He unbuttoned her clothes with his fingers, revealing the purple edges. He wanted to eat her up. He wanted to eat her up right now. His kisses were densely packed. Baya was in a daze and she gave up on herself. Why don't we do it? It's not a loss anyway. But she wasn't divorced yet. What was the difference between him and Su Jiran? Gu Lingqing, can you wait until after my divorce? Baya said anxiously. Gu Lingqing paused. A pair of dark and wise eyes locked onto her. There seemed to be a monster hibernating in his eyes, flickering. Baya didn't dare to look at him. He lowered his head and his eyes flickered. He had no choice but to compromise. He kissed her deeply and breathed in her scent. It was as if time had stopped at this moment. A minute passed before he let go of her. Be good and sit properly. Don't tease me anymore, okay? Baya, she didn't pick on him. But no matter what he said now, it would only make things worse. She looked out of the window and stopped talking. Gu Lingqing drove for 4 hours and arrived at the countryside of another city. Baya hadn't had lunch yet, and his stomach was growling with hunger. He glanced at her and stopped in front of a farmer's restaurant. Eat something first. Gu Lingqing opened the door to the front passenger seat. Baya got out of the car. Before she could get off the bed, he carried her down. Be quick. Baya, she watched him walk into the restaurant. She didn't dare to drag him down and ran to catch up. Gu Lingqing sat down by the window. Baya sat opposite him. What do you want to eat? Order it yourself. Gu Lingqing passed the menu to her. She remembered that he didn't eat lobster. The waiter came up. Pickled fish with pickled vegetables, eggs with tomatoes, sautéed vermicelli with spicy vermicelli, and winter melon and pork rib soup. President Gu, what else do you want to eat? Baya looked at Gu Lingqing and asked. He stared at her, his gaze too sharp. He ordered, change the way you address me. Chief. Chief. Baya was careful. She saw that Gu Lingqing's expression was a little hidden, as if a storm was coming. She was really afraid of him. Gu Lingqing. Baya corrected herself. Remove, Gu. Oh. Baya took a pair of disposable chopsticks and opened it. What, oh? If you call me the wrong way next time, I won't be as easy to talk to as I am now. Gu Lingqing took the menu and passed it to the waiter. Just follow her order. Baya bit the chopsticks and waited for the food. She could feel Gu Lingqing's gaze on her face. She was very nervous. Didn't she make it clear to Gu Lingqing before? Why now? She stole a glance at Gu Lingqing, met his gaze, then looked away and looked out of the window. It was already past 5:00 in the afternoon. The sun was setting, dyeing the clouds in the west red. It was very beautiful. The first dish the waiter served was pickled fish with pickled vegetables and 2 bowls of rice. Baya had her head down as she ate. Gu Lingqing removed the fish bones and placed them on her bowl. Thank you, Baya said. Gu Lingqing glanced at her. He didn't say anything and continued to help her remove the bones. Baya couldn't help but look at Gu Lingqing's hand. She felt that his skill was quite mature. He should have had a girlfriend before. This thought made her feel slightly uncomfortable. I learned it from the disc you gave me, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Huh? Baya couldn't react for a moment. You're staring at my hand. Aren't you wondering how I learned it? Gu Lingqing asked. Baya was completely stunned. This guy, he must know how to read minds. I didn't give that disc to you, Baya mumbled softly. Then who are you going to give it to? Watch it yourself. Gu Lingqing asked, sizing her up. Baya felt that the more she said, the more mistakes she made. It's Lu Shuang's. She's playing a prank. Don't always push the responsibility to others. It takes 2 hands to clap. If you want to watch it, just watch it. You're not a kid anymore. It's normal to watch it. But it's weird for a girl like you to watch it at home. I can arrange it another day, Gu Lingqing said seriously. She felt that what he said was actually a very serious problem. What are you going to do? What do you think I should do? Gu Lingqing asked her in return. You're going to arrange for me to watch it at home? Baya guessed carefully. At my house. It's quieter there. No one will disturb you, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya, she felt that he was going to watch it with her and then do that kind of thing. Baya was thin-skinned. She blushed again. You can tell me in advance what kind of position you like, Gu Lingqing reminded her. Baya couldn't even lift her head. Stop talking. Stop talking, she said shyly. Gu Lingqing glanced at her and replied, after dinner, it was already 18:00. The sky was getting dark. Baya thought of another serious problem. Are we going back tonight? No, we'll find a hotel nearby to stay. We'll go back tomorrow after visiting number 108. Oh. If they were staying in a hotel and not in the same room, she felt a little more at ease. However, she didn't think that there would be a hotel in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. Chapter 54. They each asked for a room. The soundproofing in this kind of hotel was very poor. Baya listened to the babbling sounds coming from the room next door. She tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The couple next door seemed to not need to sleep. They finally calmed down. What would happen next? They were still facing the wall on her side. Dong, dong, dong. The girl was screaming miserably. Baya was about to collapse from the noise. She went out for a walk and prepared to come back after they were done. The air in the countryside was much better than in the city. Although it was hot and there were many mosquitoes, the moon was very bright. However, the moon was very bright, and there were fireflies dancing in the grass. She hadn't seen fireflies in a long time. She still remembered that when she was young, she used a bottle to catch many fireflies and put them in her mosquito net. However, fireflies rarely glowed in the mosquito net. They were only happy in the grass. Baya felt that something was thrown on her back. She turned around and saw a girl lying on the window of the room next to hers. The girl didn't seem to be wearing clothes. She tapped the ground and quickly closed the curtains. Baya looked at the ground. It was a pink dress. The dress said, "Save me," in black ink. Baya's heart tightened. Could it be that the girl next door was being held captive? Without much time to think, Baya rushed to Gu Lingqing's door and knocked on it anxiously. Gu Lingqing opened the door. What's wrong? Gu Lingqing, I suspect that the girl next door is being held captive. Look, this is her asking me for help, Baya said worriedly. Gu Lingqing glanced at the contents of the dress. Don't worry, I have to confirm how many people are inside. They. Baya found it hard to say it, but when she thought of the girl's safety, she couldn't care less. They have been doing that kind of thing and it's already disturbing me. I can use this reason to knock on the door and see how many people are inside. I'll tell you then, Baya said. It's too dangerous for you to knock on the door alone. Let's go together. Gu Lingqing held Baya's hand and walked to the room next to Baya's. Gu Lingqing knocked on the door. The door opened. A boy with dyed yellow hair blocked the door. What's the matter? It's very late now. You've disturbed our rest, Gu Lingqing said, looking into the room. There were 2 girls and 5 or 6 boys, and they were all quite young. He. Uncle, you're old, aren't you? You have such a beautiful girlfriend. Why don't we do it together? You can look at us with passion. The blonde-haired boy teased. Gu Lingqing's lips curled up. There was a hidden sharpness in Jima's eyes. Sure. Gu Lingqing entered the room. Baya knew that he wanted to go in and save the 2 girls. Hearing him say that, she still blushed. She held Gu Lingqing's arm tightly. Sister, you want to challenge all of us alone? Why don't the 6 of us go together and let Uncle challenge 2 of us? How about that? We'll definitely be better than Uncle. The blonde-haired boy teased and reached out to hook Baya's chin. Gu Lingqing quickly pulled Baya behind him. Xiaoya, go back to the room and put on the pajamas I bought. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing. When did he buy her pajamas? She roughly understood that he wanted to send her away. Can you do it alone? Baya asked tentatively. Gu Lingqing smiled. What do you think? Go ahead. Uncle, you're quite interesting. The blonde-haired boy said, staring straight at Baya. Baya didn't want to be Gu Lingqing's burden. She walked out of the door, returned to her room and called 110. Gu Lingqing scanned the room. Beer and snacks were everywhere. There were even drug paraphernalia on the table. Your room is too messy. Why don't you go to my room? It's cleaner, Gu Lingqing said. She held the two girls' arms and pulled them out. The 6 guys followed behind them and gestured with their eyes. Gu Lingqing knocked on the door. Baiya saw that it was Gu Lingqing and opened the door. Gu Lingqing pushed the 2 girls in, closed the door and reminded them, lock it. The 6 guys realized that they were tricked and went to hit Gu Lingqing together. Baiya was worried about Gu Lingqing's safety. She looked out through the peephole. It was very messy outside. She couldn't see who was fighting who. Sister, can brother-in-law beat them alone? Blonde is trained, the girl who threw the clothes asked worriedly. Stay in the room. Don't come out. Baiya looked around the room. The only thing that could hurt them was the ashtray. She went to get the ashtray. A knife was pressed against Baiya's neck. The cold touch stimulated her skin. Baiya looked at the girl who threw the clothes in surprise. What are you doing? Baiya asked confusedly. I'm sorry, sister. We need some money. We need some, the girl who threw the clothes said. The other girl went through their wallets and took their phones. You threw the clothes on purpose to lure me to your room? Baiya was suspicious. I thought you were alone. Blonde likes you. I didn't expect you to be with a guy. Blonde's skills are pretty good. I'll just enjoy it and spend some money, the girl who threw the clothes laughed. Put the knife away first, Baiya said coldly. That won't do. Your guy is good at fighting. I still need you to get out of here, the girl who threw the clothes threatened. The other girl opened the door. Baiya saw that Gu Lingqing had already beaten the 6 guys to the ground. Stop, the girl who threw the clothes said. She pulled Baiya's arm and walked out. Gu Lingqing's eyes were sharp. He looked at the girl who threw the clothes coldly. Blonde, I've caught the beauty for you. Don't forget to give me 5 grams, the girl who threw the clothes said proudly. Blonde got up from the ground. No problem. He looked at Baiya. I can't believe I met such a beauty in this stupid place. We're going to have a good time today. Baiya frowned. While the girl who threw the clothes was distracted, he pulled her hand away and ran towards Gu Lingqing. Seeing that Baiya was running away, the girl who threw the clothes raised her knife and stabbed at Baiya. Gu Lingqing was alert. He pulled Baiya behind him. The girl who threw the clothes suddenly changed her direction and stabbed at Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing couldn't dodge. If he did, he would stab Baiya. He stood stiffly and used his hand to block the attack. The knife stabbed into his arm. When the girl who threw the clothes was about to stab him again, Gu Lingqing grabbed her wrist and squeezed it. The girl who threw the clothes couldn't stand the pain. The knife fell to the ground. Baiya immediately picked up the knife. Beep, beep. The police sirens were heard outside. Blonde and the others ran towards the stairs. They were blocked by the police. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.